The July 14th, 2026 special council meeting is called to order at 4 o'clock. Council would like to acknowledge the Ucluelet on whose traditional territories the District of Ucluelet operates. Audience members and delegates are advised that this proceeding is being video recorded and broadcast on YouTube and Zoom, which may store data on foreign servers. Are there any late items? No. Seeing none, I will move that the July 14th, 2026 special council meeting agenda be adopted as presented.
So moved.
Councillor Anderson seconds. All in favor? None opposed. That carries. Do we have Councillor Mafty on Zoom? Okay. Moving on to the meeting minutes. Are there any errors or omissions for the meeting minutes of June 23rd, 2026? Seeing none, I'll move that the minutes of the June 23rd, 2026 regular council meeting be adopted as presented.
Second.
Councillor Hoare seconds. All in favor? None opposed. That carries. There are multiple delegations on today's agenda. Council will need to pass a procedural motion to permit more than 2 delegations to appear on the agenda. So I will move that section 18.3 of the District of Ucluelet Council Procedure Bylaw number 1300, 2021 be suspended for the duration of the July 14th, 2026 special council meeting to permit more than 2 delegations to appear on the agenda. Do I have a seconder?
Second.
Councillor Hoare seconds. All in favor? None opposed. That carries. The first delegation is from Tourism Ucluelet regarding the 2025 annual report and 2026 update, and will be presented by Nick Curry. And if Julie, if you'd like to go to the podium just to introduce Nick, since you're the chair of TU. I think it needs to be turned on.
Is this, am I getting
there we
read
go.
loud and clear? Okay,
Yes.
perfect. Wrote a little something. Yes, hello, Mayor, Council. Nice to meet you. I know Marilyn. I see a lot of familiar faces here, but for those of you who do not know me, my name is Julie Sa. I operate and own the Ucluelet Wildwood Inn in town here. And I've also been a volunteer on the Tourism Ucluelet Board for going on to 6 years now. This will actually be my 2nd year as chair. So since this is my first time addressing the council on behalf of TU, I'd like to just kind of share a little bit about maybe our mission and how things have been going for us. But I know Nick is going to be doing a lot of chatting with you, so I'll keep it short. But essentially, of course, as you know, Tourism Ucluelet is our community's destination management organization. And that means we support, you know, this hopefully year-round sustainable tourism economy through visitor servicing, also engaging and supporting our local businesses, developing the community, you know, doing some different infrastructure projects, as well as with destination marketing and leadership. Nick, of course, is our tourism development specialist, and he's going to be sharing more about, you know, what we've been doing historically, and then also about how we've been embodying this mission and what we have planned going forward. But I just wanted to briefly say that, you know, about 5 years ago, I joined this board and I was new to the community at that time, and was definitely warmly welcomed. And that energy of, like, you know, openness, humility, excitement, and, you know, love for this community still really rings strong right now. So yes, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Nick Curry, who is going to be sharing, as Marilyn said, our 2025 MRDT overview, the 2026 tactical plan, as well as an outlook on 2027. And if you have any questions about Tourism Ucluelet, feel free to come and chat with myself or Nick after this meeting. So thank you.
Thanks, Julie. Welcome, Nick.
Thank you, Julie. Yeah, well, good afternoon, Mayor and Council and everyone else in the room today. Thank you very much for your time. My name is Nicholas Curry. As Julie mentioned, I'm the Tourism Development Specialist. So yeah, I'm here to present the 2025 year in review, as well as a short 2026 outlook, and then a little bit into our 2027 plans as well. If you just want to jump to the next slide. I've split the presentation kind of into 4 different categories. So we have that 2025 MRDT annual report talking about some of our successes as well as some of our gaps. From that report, we also have a stakeholder survey. So that'll be the second section that I'm going to kind of dive into some of the feedback that we've gotten from our stakeholders on that. And then the third section, we're going to be moving on to 2026 accomplishments to date. And then for the final portion, we're going to look at what's ahead for 2026 as well as 2027. Next slide. Yeah, so MRDT collection and the accommodation economy. So just a quick brief. So MRDT, municipal and regional district tax. In Ucluelet, that's a 3% tax on short-term accommodation. There's 2 streams. We have standard MRDT and OMF, which stands for Online Marketplace Facilitators. This was formerly referred to as OAP. So if you've heard that term before, that's what it has been changed to now. In the DMO world, Destination Marketing Organizations, they love their acronyms. And so that's always fun when they change that. So I've mentioned this before, but I think it's really important to come back to. So Tourism Ucluelet's committed 100% of the OMF funding to affordable housing. So everything that we collect in OMF funding goes directly in towards affordable housing projects. Compared to, and another point on that is that when you look at other RMI communities, we have a way higher percentage of OMF funding compared to MRDT funding. So the percentage is skewed. It's almost 60-40. And so we have the highest percentage of OMF to MRDT compared to any other RMI community that's committed 100% of their funding to affordable housing. Our collection rate in 2025 was 1.4 million, which is up 17% from 2024. When you do a little bit of backwards math on that, the estimated accommodation revenue in Ucluelet was $47 million in 2025, which is up from $40 million in 2024. Really important fact there for me to consider is just raw numbers. 80% of that was is accounted for in the off-season growth, so between May and September. On the right, I have just some AirDNA data that I pulled as well. So it's talking about occupancy rate as well as available listings, which is supply, and then also demand. Just kind of important to note that supply went up in 2025, and so did demand. So it hasn't quite met its cap there. Next slide. Obviously, one of the things that we do is marketing. And so we only market for our fall and our spring. And in 2025, we had a very successful fall campaign, which was Uki This Fall. It was our biggest marketing push of the year. It drove over 66,000 sessions to our website. So that's activity on our website, which is up 123% over the previous period in 2024. And then something that's, for me, even more exciting is that it was engaging content. So once people went through to our website, we also had conversions, which is like when people are clicking through to a local business, and that was up 420% over that same time period. Along with that campaign, we ran a edge-to-edge multi-channel marketing campaign. As I mentioned, we don't do any promotion in the summertime, but we do responsible visitation campaigns. So that's going to be display ads as well as social media ads for people that are going to be visiting our community and teaching them how to be good visitors in our community. And so that campaign reached over 200,000 people in the summertime and had over 5,000 of those conversions. We're also running ads in Hello Ferry and print ads in a variety of publications at the same time as well. Next slide. Yeah, and just a few brief examples of some of the ads that we had in our printed campaign ads that were done a little bit earlier in the year in 2025. Next slide. So 2 capacity investments paid off in 2025. So we completed a full brand guidebook with Loki Design. So for the first time, it gave us a really consistent visual identity and tone of voice that's been implemented across all of our creative. We also brought on Evans Hunt as our agency of record to run campaign strategy and media buying. And then on our social media, the paid campaigns, along with the stronger brand components, paired with local talent and creativity, also showed really great results. So I think, one huge number there is across both of our platforms, we had almost 5 million views. But when you're looking at the link click percentage as well as like some of those numbers that measure engagement, you can see that the content was very engaging as well. Next slide. So one tactic that we have that kind of combines both marketing as well as destination development. So it's going to be investing in community events as well as attracting conferences and other events in the shoulder seasons. And so our Events and Experience Fund, it funded 6 local events in 2025 with over 80% of the $40,000 fund distributed. We had over 500 direct participants in that, over 1,000 spectators. I'd say on the very low end, an estimated $80,000 in estimated local business impact. We also contributed financial aid to the Edge to Edge Marathon as well as the Pacific Rim Whale Fest. And then we also worked with organizers to bring both the BC Indigenous Tourism Conference to Ucluelet as well as Gymnastrada, which happened in the spring of 2025. Between both of those events, we had over 500 participants and hundreds of thousands of dollars of spending in community when you look at the nights that they spent in community as well as all of the spending in shops and other businesses. Next slide. The other 2 major categories that we work in is going to be destination development as well as visitor servicing. So conference attendance, that's always something that we do. But this year we put a lot of focus on launching some stakeholder program delivery. So, a variety of different workshops that people could partake in. So we had a digital accelerator program, a regenerative tourism workshop held in community. We also had a hands-on social media training workshop. And we had a business coaching and product development program with a business consultant by the name of Tansy Solutions. We also partnered with local organizations to deliver a youth tourism and hospitality awareness day, supported the Ucluelet Secondary School land-based learning program, completed a resident survey and a stakeholder survey. We sourced data on visitor profiles, which has been used to help track some of the RMI impacts. Sourced local artwork for our merchandise, had over 80,000 visitors come through our visitor service centers. We expanded our hours. We opened a downtown location, and then we also expanded our merchandise program. Next slide. A couple categories that I can just acknowledge that we fell short in 2025 are we had a variety of print collateral tactics that we didn't get launched. We had a tactic around the tourism master plan, conducting an audit on it and creating an action plan. Stakeholder engagement has been tough. The timing of some of the promotion of our workshops as well as our offerings, the cadence and method of communication, and then also just driving buy-in from local stakeholders needs to be improved as well. We did implement quite a bit of industry development tactics, but there were still some that were left on the shelves. And I think a really important point here and a learning point for us was the overall implementation timeline did get pushed back quite a bit with some of those tactics trailing on into 2026. And then also managing our capacity versus the number of tactics. So that was a key learning point for us. Next slide. So touching on some of the stakeholder survey results. So we're quite visible. So 82% of stakeholders said they were somewhat familiar with us, but it's uneven. So our website and social media are highly visible with over 80% awareness in each of those channels. Channels that stakeholders don't see, TV ads, sponsored articles, have much lowered recognition, some below 20%. And that tells us that we need to report back more on the marketing that they can't see day to day. Along with our role outside of marketing, again, not quite as aware. We had 55% reporting that they were clear or very clear, with 21% saying they were neutral on our role outside of marketing. Next slide. On satisfaction, the honest read is positive, but not yet confident. So 39% of stakeholders are satisfied with how we use MRDT funds, 61% are neutral, and notably 0 are dissatisfied. Overall, our satisfaction with performance, which is slightly different than how we use our funds, sits at 52%. We score best at being responsive and timely, and weakest on communicating plans and spending funds transparently. Some of the key open-ended feedback on satisfaction: transparency and access to information, equitable promotion, more lobbying of the local government, watch out, staff housing, something that they mentioned as well too. Next slide. So the stakeholders, supported a lot of our vision as well. 91% support Tourism Ucluelet's increased focus on industry and destination development. Some of the top growth areas they saw in our community were health and wellness, Indigenous cultural tours, arts and culture, eco and regenerative tourism. 95% say investing in sustainable, responsible tourism is important, and 57% want more consistent year-round tourism. 39% prefer shoulder season growth with some downtime preserved. Next slide. So the year to date, so kind of on our reports, communication and data. So we've submitted our 2025 MRDT annual performance report and financial report to Destination BC. We completed the 2026 stakeholder survey, which is on the 2025 year, kind of confusing. We launched a visitor perception survey with over 1,300 responses. We held our AGM. Notably, we added an additional seat for Toquat Nation on our board of directors, and we've been sending out detailed bi-monthly stakeholder updates. Next slide. On the kind of tactical side of things, we had another very successful spring campaign. We have 95% of our events and experiences fund allocated. We launched another social media workshop. We have over 13 stakeholders that have gone through or are currently in some of those consulting or digital accelerator programs. We continue to help fund the ambassador program. We're in the middle of a massive website redevelopment with a focus on updated accommodation and experience links, really in-depth stakeholder portal / industry site, with clear transparency being one of the key goals of the website as well. Trade show attendance and conferences. We had a successful bid on the Vancouver Island Stewardship Summit, so playing into that events attraction in the off season. So October 22nd and 23rd, anywhere between 125 to 150 people are going to be joining Ucluelet for the Stewardship Summit. We're going to be launching a responsible visitation campaign this summer. We've worked with the district to order some water fountains. We're calling this like a small infrastructure upgrades, so adding those to the community as well. Expanded our visitor service hours and staffing, and we've updated information on our website for people to have better equity in understanding how we do our promotion on social media. Next slide. What's left on deck for 2026? So we have our fall winter campaign. We're planning a big engagement series with stakeholders, another hands-on social media workshop, the website launch, onboarding process. We have 4 more spots on our digital accelerator program. We want to ensure that we have an authentic partnership with UFN, and that marks the completion of our Indigenous and cultural guide. We want to launch an online version of the ambassador program to make it more inclusive for people. We're going to be doing a little bit of an event funding revamp with 2 streams developed and launched. Obviously, hosting that stewardship summit, another version of the resident survey. We're bringing back the umbrellas that I know a lot of people in the community loved, and have a voluntourism program that we're launching. And then the 2027 MRDT tactical plan. Last slide. So yeah, looking ahead. One more. back. Yeah, thanks. Great. So looking ahead to 2027, so the Pacific Rim Visitor Center is key in our mind. So we want to have a concrete long-term plan to co-develop with the District of Ucluelet for that area. Make sure that we're delivering industry development and workshops that have tangible results, clear lines of communication and access to resources for all of our stakeholders. Fewer tactics, larger projects. That's managing part of our capacity. Expanded Indigenous engagement and business support. Trying to keep more funds spent in the community and tied to those small infrastructure projects. So like more community and visitor amenities that we can contribute to, more tactile collateral like maps, guides, and other printed materials, driving up higher stakeholder survey numbers. And then in December 2027, we have our 5-year plan submission. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. That was great. We've also added 3 new members to the board just recently as of the AGM. Did you want to just mention that?
The board members?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have Sunny from Ucluelet First Nation has joined the board. Denise from Toquat Nation joined the board. Erica, who runs Blue Crush Concierge, and Danny from Shipwreck Pizza, and
Good.
Dennis, who brews the beer.
So I guess that's 5, not 3.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks. Any questions for Nick from council? Councillor Anderson?
Thanks a lot, Nick, for that. I'm just wondering that the difference between what was OAP is now OMF, right? So OMF, MRDT OMF would get charged right off of the platform itself. So VRBO, Airbnb, that tax comes off directly off those platforms and
Yeah.
goes to you. And MRDT is like if you go to a hotel or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the difference between those two.
That's the difference between those two. So essentially now, anytime you book and pay online, so Expedia, VRBO, Airbnb, that gets collected as the OMF, and they distribute that to the government. So that figure never touches the business owner because it just gets collected by Airbnb, as an example.
Right. And MRDT has to be submitted physically by the hotel.
I believe so, yeah, because it's
Yeah.
like they would take the payment in person or through their own payment processing system that they'd have on their own website. So if you're doing direct bookings online with an organization, that's going to get collected as MRDT and then submitted to the government and then distributed.
Right. So if you're if you have your own private website, you would be MRDT. You wouldn't be OMF, right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
And you don't pay MRDT if you don't pay both. It's one or the other.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. Hopefully you're not paying both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, and then it's 60-40. So 60 for OMF and 40 for MRDT.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. 60 MRDT, 40 OMF, roughly.
Oh, okay.
That's our percentage breakdown. When you look at a lot of other communities, for example, it's far closer to the 80-20%.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
In the other direction.
Yeah. So you'd see which means in Revelstoke, for example, we have, they have far more MRDT collection than OMF.
Okay.
So so even if they're distributing 100% of their funds to affordable housing, it's going to be a smaller number.
Right.
It's not on the overall amount that we're collecting, it's on the percentage breakdown. So if you're collecting a massive amount of MRDT, and maybe that makes sense or not.
Yeah. No, I got it. Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Councillor Noel?
Thanks, Nick. A couple things. I think my tune doesn't change. I think it's, TU is great. One of the challenges for the residents in the community is, it's great to bring them here, but the residents end up having to, pay the burden, whether that's garbage collection, cleanup, and by law enforcement and this stuff. So, are you in the circle there regarding other agencies like yourself that are singing the tune? Because I know lots of local government are trying to figure out how do we get our hands on it, because we're very much constrained about what we can spend the money. One of the things like, maybe you can comment on that for me first.
Yeah. So I mean, there's very specific restrictions on what those funds can be used for. The biggest one that's on a lot of people's mind is infrastructure is
Absolutely.
listed as something that you're not allowed to use those funds for. There's and I know that there's a lot of people that are looking at MRDT funds as, potential funds to be used. I think that like for me, the tricky thing is that, this is a fund that accommodation platforms or accommodation providers sign off on collecting as well too. So it's and when you open up the tax law, I think that it could be pretty difficult to see where it goes. But I mean, I think there's lots of creative solutions out there to find a balance. I think in the DMO world, I think an idea that I'm connected with is that each DMO or destination has different life cycles, right? Like when you're in the very beginning, like you want that money for marketing,
Right.
like and so like, but now we don't even promote the summers in Ucluelet. So you've seen that need shift. And so one of our focuses has been on, destination development, trying to have programs, trying to get creative with the funds within the restrictions so that we can, I don't know, I'm always kind of thinking about it like a Venn diagram. Like if I can create a tactic that DBC is going to be happy with, that the visitors are going to be happy with, but then in that middle, the residents are going to be excited to use, or it's going to support, local businesses. That's like, for me, that's the sweet spot that we're looking at.
And it's a delicate sweet spot, right? Because every year it gets a bit more definite. I think the two parties sometimes seem to get a little bit further apart. One time they were very close. You kind of nailed it there when you said the people that are signing on the TU have a different lens of sometimes the community than maybe the resident does, right? And so anyways, I keep hoping that one day there'll be some pennies that'll come out there towards public works to start lowering the burden upon the residents. Everybody in town knows we're a tourism town, but we definitely need to be able to find some of that money going back towards the community to lessen the burden upon all of us in the room. And I'll say it again here. One of the things that aggravate me as well, there's many things, but one of them is that campsites don't pay, throughout the whole province here. I'm a strong advocate that campsites are probably the biggest disruptor of any small community, and it's just so surprising that to date that they're still not paying. So that'd be a wonderful. Any movement on that or comments you can make?
So they did do a slight reform on who's collecting MRDT, or a slight change. It's not full campsites now, but if you have built a structure, so if it's like even if it's a parked RV that doesn't move, that is now set to collect MRDT.
Okay.
So there's been.
Yeah, it's hard to move that needle, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, that's victory.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's a huge discussion, and Richard can speak to that as well. At the DMO level, at the local government level, definitely a big conversation out there about where do you find the balance, and how can we use these funds to support the community.
No, you're doing a good job, Nick. Thank you. And having Denise on board must be she brings a wealth of knowledge with her as well. So it's great.
Totally.
Awesome. Thank you.
And just to your first question, the 14 resort municipalities, the mayors, have been lobbying the province to do something to allow some of the tourism dollars to go toward infrastructure. The laws around MRDT are pretty strict, and but at UBCM again this year, we're the 14 mayors and the 14 CAOs will be in front of the Ministry of Tourism and the Ministry of Finance to try and move that needle a little bit, even if it's to create a new tax, sort of like FIFA was created for Vancouver. So there is lobbying going on. It's just extremely slow. Yeah. Oh, Councillor Anderson?
Just to put a cap on that. So there is no difference with resort municipalities in BC. So if you had you would be paying MRDT and the OMF anywhere in BC. It doesn't matter. It's the same whether it's a resort municipality or not, right? It's just the exact same.
Yes and no. So you have to apply to have this happen. So there's resort municipalities that collect MRDT and OMF. But like, for example, the like area of Comox and Courtney, like they just went through their MRDT process. So there was only a small section that was collecting MRDT previously. And since then they've gathered like all the accommodation providers in an expanded section. So it only happens when accommodation providers decide that they want to bring this in. And so you have to get 51% of accommodation providers in a designated area to sign on to it, as well as the district to approve it, I believe.
I think there's over 70 right now that are collecting 70,
Yeah.
but again, has to go through a similar process, but
Yeah.
there's only the 13 designated RMI communities.
14.
13, that's a 13, didn't it?
14.
That was 13.
There's 14. Do any regional districts collect MRDT?
If they're within, if they correct that within to do the same process that we have to do here, which is get all the hoteliers to 51% of so many properties and 51% of rooms, and have to do.
So it's a survey of the hoteliers and the majority has to be in favor in order to have that happen.
Yeah. It's the majority of accommodation providers and of rooms, I believe. So it's a split between those two.
But I agree with your comment, Councillor Noel, that if we have a municipality of roughly 2,000 people, but we have like potentially 1.2 million people coming to the junction and turning right or left, that, you know, there could be over 10,000 people in Euclid on a given day in the summer. Yet the infrastructure for our town that burden falls on the 2,000 people that live here full time. I think that's something that, you know, is worth fighting for at UBCM on behalf of those 14 municipalities for sure.
Yeah, we will be.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Julie. The next delegation is from Ucluelet and Area Child Care Society, and it will be presented by Mary Ruff.
Hi, thanks for having me here today. My name is Mary Ruff. I'm co-chair of the Ucluelet and Area Child Care Society. Natasha intended to be here today, but something came up last minute, so she sent me and all her notes. So
Welcome.
So I'm here today to sincerely thank Council for your generous in-kind contribution of $36,000 to cover the 2026 rent for the Ucluelet Children's Center. Your ongoing support makes a meaningful difference to our organizations and the families that we serve. So the society is currently operating 4 programs. The group daycare and multi-age programs are here at the Ucluelet Children's Center. The Little Beans Infant Toddler Center on Peninsula, and our after-school care and summer program, which operates out of the UAC Hall. Together, these programs provide care for 68 children, and we're currently operating at full capacity. Unfortunately, we are at a point right now where there are more children on our wait list than we have in our care. And of note, of those waiting, 44 children are hoping for infant toddler spots. So those are all children under 3. So we got some disappointing news this month. We recently learned that the co-op will not be renewing the lease at the Little Beans Infant Toddler Center, which runs out in April of next year. We're so grateful that we've been provided with the space over for the time that we've been there. And we are also grateful that we've been provided with over a year to secure a new location. So there will be no changes to the programs or care between now and December 2027. Again, we'd like to express sincere gratitude for the support the Euclid Co-op has provided by making space available for the infant toddler daycare program. And it's been, well, very needed for the community. But unfortunately, we're now faced with the enormous challenge of finding a new building within our community to accommodate our existing spots, let alone the other ones that are needed. At the same time, we need urgently more spaces both for infant toddler care and after school care. The wait list now for after school care is really big. So we're looking to open up a new another after school care program. Natasha has been working very proactively to explore every possible option. We've been in discussions with the school district about the possibility of operating our after school care program from the elementary school. And we've met with the MLA Josie Osborne, Councillor Anderson, Marcy DeWitt to ensure that they understand the situation and the impact it will have on local families. So it's important that everyone is aware that we need community support to find solutions. I urge council to explore our options with every development proposal that comes up to create spaces for daycares. So it's just something we want to be on everybody's mind all the time. But some great news and progress that Natasha has made is that yesterday she spoke to contact at SD70, who advised that they're going to be releasing an expression of interest for an after school care program to be run out of the elementary school in the school. So they have the budget in place and licensing for 24 children. And amazing news, we plan to bid on the program. And so then we could move the current program to the school and then also continue to operate out of the UAC with more kids. So that could expand our services to be closer to meeting the needs of what's needed for after school care. So great news that we do have is that staffing is not currently a challenge for us. We have educators ready to provide much needed spaces, and we honestly just need suitable facilities to make it possible. And we are in a place right now where we can expand, we can make changes. So anyway, on a more positive note, we were successful in securing funding through the Free to Play initiative, which was administered by the Clayquot Biosphere Trust. And we received $27,500, which will be used towards constructing a permanent roof extension at the Euclid Children's Center here. So many of you saw today as you came in the large white tent outside of the center. It was originally intended as a temporary structure, and it's now been there for 6 years. And so the new roof extension will replace that, and it's going to extend all the way to the fence and further towards the parking lot, creating 2 covered outdoor classrooms. With weather-resistant walls, which will allow us to close this space during wet weather and giving children the opportunity to enjoy outdoor play and learning throughout the year. So we're so grateful to be supported by the district to make improvements to the facility and funded by the CBT Free to Play grant. Yeah, and finally in June, we held our AGM and concert, followed by a fundraising barbecue. We saw around 200 community members come out to support this center, and everybody loved it. Yeah, so thank you again for your continued support of our society and for everything you do for the families in our community. Any questions?
Thank you, Mary.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any specific needs for space? I guess washroom, but
Yeah, so infant toddler is a bit a bit more specific than like a larger group daycare for kids over 3, because it's there needs to be a separate nap room. And then there also needs to be like a changing table area and stuff. So yeah, so our current capacity at Little Beans is 12. So like ideally, I mean, we'd like to at least find something with capacity for 12. And then of course it has to have an outdoor play area and kitchen, and yeah, it's pretty specific for licensing requirements.
Okay, good to know. Questions from council? Councillor Anderson?
No, just first off, great job. You guys have done so much with so little, and Natasha and yourself have been great at doing this and taking this from what it was. And I think the health of a community can sometimes be measured in the little ones that are coming in, and having 44 on a wait list is scary, but it's a good sign that we're in a good spot as a community. So yeah, we're just trying to set up that what you were, Madam Mayor, what you were asking about. Marcy has done, I guess, in 2019 did a daycare needs assessment. So they have sort of those numbers and what they need for a structure and what the criterion is. So I guess we're just sort of waiting to set up a meeting to connect the dots with Cynthia Orr and Natasha and Marcy to work that out. And Josie Osborne's agreed to help in that capacity too. So yeah, fingers crossed, but I think we're starting to make some good connections on that one.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, there's good work already being done. And yeah, we just really need to get the word out to the community and make sure it's on everybody's mind.
Totally. Awesome. Thank you.
Comments? Yes, Mr. Harding?
Mayor, if you recall, council made a motion this spring for us to work on a briefing note, come back to council on the kind of state of the nation for childcare services and where we're at. So we have retained the services of Ms. DeWitt, and she's working over the summer. She'll hopefully will present that briefing document to you in September. One of your meetings in September, give more of where we're at, where are some opportunities, where are some of the real needs, what we can do. So that will. You have given us that direction, and we are following through on it.
Awesome. Thanks for that reminder. Councillor Noel?
Thanks for the report, Mary. And I think, yes, we're going to report in September, but this is a serious situation that you're in, right?
Yes.
And I think it's probably something that we should probably have on our radar, almost get a, every 60-day update. That would be my suggestion. I think the reality is, you guys have no money, and the reality is this is something that's important. Budget season's coming, and I think if there's a way to when the report comes in September here, if there's a way to ensure that this group, this childcare societies involved here, because I'd hate to see a February or March come along here and there's been no movement on our part. I think this is not just daycare; it's an economic driver in our community here, and so I look forward to September's update. But I also realize that there may be some monetary backing that we're going to need to do in order to even retrofit a location. I don't know what's available in town, but I think off the cuff here, the medical clinic it's empty. There's going to have to be some creative solutions here, just like what was created with the co-ops. It served well for 24 or 36 months, but I think the situation that you find yourself in is very serious, and I'd hate to just have this on Marcy's lap or your lap, Richard, here, because the reality is there will need to be some funds come from this table in order to ensure that there is a suitable location. I'm very pleased that you guys use UAC Hall. I go in there; it hasn't changed since I was using it from Boy Scouts myself. I think the reality is we need to invest in infrastructure, and if the UAC Hall is part of the solution towards that. I see the building inspectors in here. I'll cringe, but I think the reality is we need to invest in some of these bricks and mortar here to better serve the community. And I think that's probably the September conversation that we need to really look at this in a very urgent manner. So thanks, Mary.
Yeah, I should add to that. There was a grant that we used to do the construction at Little Beans to make it suitable, which was called the BC. It was the BC new spaces grant. But unfortunately, that funding doesn't exist right now either. It's not open. So
The reality, when
big-
the stars won't align for funding for this situation, I think the only
Yeah.
way to do that is, to have some involvement from the group here,
Yeah.
and really just kind of keeping your group very close to Richard, and understanding, what the interim solution will be. Building something new isn't going to happen. It's we need something. April's going to come quickly here, so
yeah. Luckily, we do. I mean, April is when the lease ends, but we have until December. But it's
right. We need to-
nothing. It's not much time at all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
thanks.
Yeah. Thank you.
I wonder if our communications team could put something out in Yuki Mail just to kind of get the word out to
That'd be
the
great. Yeah.
community. That is that possible, Richard? That just so that the whole community that subscribes to Yuki Mail anyway,
Mhm.
because I think funding is not the issue so much as an actual location. I think, maybe getting that word out to the broader community is
Yeah,
Might
we
help.
do plan to contact the Westerly News as well and get that in.
Great idea.
News as
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
okay. Thanks a lot, Mary.
Thank you.
The next delegation is from Ucluelet Aquarium Society, and it will be presented by Laura Griffith Cochrane. Welcome, Laura.
Hello, everyone. Oops. Hello, everyone. I'm Laura Griffith Cochrane. I'm the Executive Director of the Ucluelet Aquarium. So we are off to an incredibly busy year once again. Just to give some perspective, we had this really nice, gradual increase that was going on pre-COVID. So from the 4 years, 2016, 17, 18, and 19, we saw about 40,000 visitors a year. And then when everything came back, 2024, we have just been going crazy. So last year we saw more than 60,000 visitors. So we're in our peak season. This is I picture when I looked at old reports of the herring fishery that would go on back in the 1970s, and the guns would go off and everyone would be going full tilt out in the sea. I think this is what we're like right now in tourism. So we're seeing about 360 people a day, which is amazing. How are we doing this? We've got an incredible team. We have 20 staff members now. So that's 12 full-time year-round staff, 2 part-time staff, and 6 summer students, because housing is always an issue. That's almost exclusively high school students, and they are incredible. And 3 of them are graduating this year. So I'm really, really sad that we couldn't make more students that didn't graduate, because I'd really like them to stay. And we also have had so much community support. We have the best volunteer group that we've ever had since building. Just really wonderful continuous support. We have people that are coming in every week and helping us with interpretation. And then also just making sure people are getting to the building. So we have staff policies that say from May 1st until October 1st, no one's allowed to park between the Cedar Road stop sign and in that downtown area, because we want everyone to be coming in and going to all those businesses. We are running story time again on Wednesdays. So if anyone would like to come in and read a story at 10:30, we've got a really great group of kids that are coming in. We're doing Salmon Trail in partnership with Redfish Restoration and the Pac Rim. It's the Quisitus Visitor Center booth that we do is the most popular event in the national park, which we're really excited about. Also in partnership with Redfish Restoration and Ucluelet, we are doing our Healthy Harbor project. And so this year we did eelgrass surveys. In the past, we tried to map the entire harbor's circumference of eelgrass beds as a marker of health. And this year we chose specific sites and looked at density of eelgrass and species. And we did a BioBlitz, which was super fun. This time of year, tomorrow is one of the lowest tides of the year. So just a shout out to get everybody out there. It's going to be so very, very beautiful. 8:20 tomorrow is the low tide. skip work. It's going to be the best. Our new little perch were just born. They give birth to live young. And so they are also the reason why a lot of our visitors are very disappointed that we don't have an octopus. But we really love it when people find something new to fall in love with. And I think a lot of people are already building that capacity of care for octopuses. So onwards to barnacles and sea cucumbers. So with all of this increase in new staff, we used to make about 65% of our annual budget just from visitors going through the door, from ticket sales. And it's now closer to 55% just because really our staffing costs have gone up. And we're trying to hold on to people. We have a number of staff members that are hitting their 5-year anniversary this summer, and we really, really want to keep them. I think they're the reason why we're able to take advantage to this big increase in interest in our community. And so staff housing is a big challenge there, but also it means that for our budget, we're putting a bigger pressure on sponsorship and donations and grants than we have in the past. Yeah, that's, but we have some really wonderful people that are working on that. So with the funding that we got from the district, we've been doing a project that connects science and art together. And so we did a number of workshops this spring that were beautiful. We did Gyotaku printing and nature journaling and just worked to get people to slow down while they're out here, really connect with the ecosystems that they've come all the way out here to see, get off their phones a little bit, and spend time noticing how beautiful it is. And then the big focus that we're working on this summer is responsible tourism. There's studies that have gone on in Thailand where there's big increases years ago, there were these huge increases in tourism, where a lot of the hermit crabs, because all of the shells were taken off the beach, changed to have, instead of having their little curly bums, they became thicker nubbins so that they could use bottle caps and other debris as their homes to protect their little bodies. And we don't want that to happen here. We want people to think about all these things that we love. So that's our big focus for the summer. And then we were also successful in getting the Rural Economic Development and Infrastructure, the REDIP grant, and that is going towards improvement. So we're hitting 15 years of our building now, which is really, really cool. And so our saltwater pumps are 15 years old. Our life support systems are 15 years old. And for everybody that's worked on boats or in some kind of fishing, saltwater isn't kind to anything mechanical. So we're going to be replacing that this year. And I'm really excited for the winter when we get to do that. I think that's it. Anything else?
Great, Laura. Thank you. Questions for Laura? Every time I go in there, the staff are fantastic. They're a wealth of knowledge. And even if you don't know the right question to ask, they'll tell you the answer.
Oh, I almost forgot. And thank you so much. If you haven't been in the bathrooms,
I was just
the
going to mention
renovation
that.
is so beautiful. And I have been so excited because it used to be when I would go downstairs, I would leave the office and I would go down to do interpretation. And as I would go down the stairs, I could see this lineup of kids doing this like dance against the wall. And there's no more of that. They're just enjoying themselves in the aquarium and everybody is so much more relaxed. It is wonderful.
That was the second thing I was going to say. The bathrooms are beautiful.
Yeah, Johnny Ferguson and his team, they did a really good job.
Very artistic.
Yeah.
Councillor Anderson?
So a quick question. Congratulations on that REDIP grant. Did you also get iced funding at all? No.
No, we didn't. Just the REDIP.
Right.
Mhm.
And then that Eelgrass is that Harbor Health Initiative. Is that
Yeah.
what it's called?
That's right.
Is that like a longitudinal study, like that figures
We're-
out what the
yeah.
health of the harbor is? Is there any data? Is this just super new, right? So you don't have any.
We've
data
got a
back
couple of years. The main thing of this study is to, I'm going to get really nerdy. It's going to be a positive assets assessment of the state of the harbor and to figure out what health can actually be quantified as. And so looking at studies around the world that are trying to do conservation, once something is gone, it's incredibly costly and not always successful to replace it. And in the aquarium, I hear a lot of a lot of statements like, "Oh, this is terrible. The district should do something about this," or "The province should do something about this." But there are so many wonderful groups out here that are already doing work and engaging people and getting them to see themselves as leaders and holding responsibilities to the ecosystem, so that they are leading the efforts rather than waiting for other bodies to do that is so important. And so what we're trying to do is, through a series of questions, and Ruby, who's on our team, interviewed so many people about what areas of the harbor that they love, and then has been doing a review of all of the different projects that people are doing. Like Redfish has been doing so much with kelp. Toquat Nation has been working on kelp regeneration and looking at different areas in their waters. Same with Ucluelet, Parks Canada. There are so many great groups that are doing work. So if we can link up the areas that people feel passionate about and the areas that people are doing work, then that makes for a really easy initiative. So that's what we're working towards. Right now we're in the what do you love stage. And then we're using eelgrass as our marker of what health is, because it's a really good indicator of water quality, and the aquarium cannot exist without good water quality in the harbor. Yeah, that's it.
That's amazing. Thank you for that. That's
Yeah.
no, I think that's a great barometer for figuring out what
Mhm.
what the harbor health is. No, that's terrific. Just really quickly, in Toquat, I think there was a tenure out there. I don't know. I just heard this. This is like hearsay, but that there was a successful kelp farm put out there that brought back some of the otters and the urchins that hadn't been seen there since the elders had noticed them when they were kids. Is that true? Have you heard anything about
I don't know about that, but that's really cool.
that?
I really hope
ecosystem
that
is
that's true.
booming out there. Right?
Yeah.
Cool. But thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you all.
Thanks, Laura. The next delegation is the Ucluelet and Area Historical Society, but I don't see Claudia here.
Yeah, through the mayor, they've sent their regrets.
Oh, they're not able to come.
They're not
Okay.
able to come, and look forward to see you in August.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Abby. And I believe the next delegation is also unable to be here. Pacific Rim Hospice Society are not able to present. So the next delegation is from the Ucluelet Rocket Sports Club, and it will be presented by Penny Jones and Trevor Jones. Trevor Jones, okay. One of the Joneses.
Thanks very much. Penny lost her voice chasing grandchildren last week, so you got me. Just wanted to say hello to council and the mayor, and I wanted to thank Richard for letting us invite ourselves this year. Thank you, Richard. It's been a really busy year for us, and for those that don't know about the Racket Sport Club, we're a group of racket enthusiasts that sort of came together around the time that the high school was being renovated, and they just overnight destroyed the 2 tennis courts that we were using. We showed up to play one morning and the nets were down and there were trailers on them. So we were really shocked that that happened without any consultation. So we thought we better get together and get organized. And since that time, we're now at about anywhere from 30 to 50 members. We've organized 3 pickleball tournaments in town now. So the Total Fluke pickleball tournament's been really successful at really galvanizing a local group of enthusiasts. I think there's some players actually in the room today. I have yet to see any council members come up, but we invite you to come and join us. Really, the tournament has been a really good eye-opener about the potential for racket sports to attract folks to Ucluelet year-round. And we intentionally held our tournament early spring just to sort of help bring some business to town, and certainly it's working. We wanted to thank the mayor for being our MVP who comes every year and presents the winners, and I think she can attest to the good cheer and fun that we're having. Those folks spend money in hotels, in B&Bs, and in restaurants in town over those 3 days, and it's really, we've just scratched the surface. So our club advocates both for tennis and pickleball investment in the community. And right now we're working actively with the district to try to finalize the multi-court design, and are keen to see that advance this year. In conversations I've had with your CAO and others, it sounds like you're on track and perhaps going to see a proposal later this month. So our fingers are crossed. I want to let you know we are watching, we are keen. And right now, I see our players driving to Tofino every day. Every day, people are leaving this community to go play down there when really we should be here playing in our own community. So really, I just want to hold you up as the leaders in our community in advancing that project. I think it says a lot about, one, you're listening, and two, you see the importance of that kind of recreation. I think anybody that has played pickleball or badminton or tennis for that matter, but particularly pickleball, you're going to be amazed at just the representation of demographics in the room. We will see in a drop-in session kids 14, 15 coming with their parents, coming with their grandparents. And that age spectrum is there every time. And the skill spectrum, it creates this incredible opportunity to build community. And if you go online and look at any of the data, this is what's coming out now after this sport has grown in North America. It's building community in ways none of us envisioned, across ages, across sexes, across skill levels. And that community is getting larger. So we really want to embrace the chance to play here in town more, and want to encourage council to keep it moving. Wanted to thank you and let you know that we're here to help raise money if need be, providing expertise as you move along in the development timeline, and really encourage you to come out and join us on the court sometime. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Trevor. Can you remind us when you play?
Yeah. Thanks to the district's recreation department, we have been able to get access into the seaplane base hall, and I think we're now in there. Goodness, I want to say 6 days a week, and the only day they don't let us in, and we've been trying, is the Thursday, because they said, "Well, come on, we have to clean that court too," So Abby and her team have been really good at allowing us to get more and more access. And anybody can come sign up online. The district will send you a spreadsheet. You can just pick a time to come and play. You will be surprised at the number of people that just show up to play with you that you've never met, and you make new friends. We also have a Friday night drop-in session at the high school that is organized by the district's recreation department, but also our members from the club are the volunteers that co-host that night. And I want to say, I think we calculated we've got about 1,200 people in a year accessing pickleball through both the drop-in at the high school and the play at the Seaplane Base Hall. 1,200 people a year. So we're really stoked about the sport. If you play it, you can't help but get addicted, and it keeps you young, and it helps you recover from a heart attack, Mako. So come on out and play with us. I can attest to that. So yeah, thanks so much.
Thanks, Trevor. Any questions for Trevor? Comments? No, I do believe the hard sports facility is on our next agenda, Mr. Harding, on the 28th.
It is. It's definitely.
So that'll be phase one, which will be the
Phase one will also touch on what's planned for phase two, but phase one. And so we've come back with the final designs with that. And if council approves it on the 28th, we'll tender in August, early September to start the building process of that. We'll go through all the details on the 28th.
Perfect.
See that going, but
great.
Thank you so much.
Councillor Anderson?
I just have a question for Mr. Harding. So I know when there was a pickleball court in Nanaimo where you were before for the grand opening, you wore a pickle costume. I'm just
I
wondering
was actually just texting Mr. Jones a picture of me opening it up because I don't think he believes I actually did any of that. So yes, I am seated with my pickle costume, and even though I won't be here officially as your CAO, and that when it's finished, I'll come over, especially just for that.
with
Well-
the pickle costume.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll invite you. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Okay. The next delegation is from Redfish Restoration Society, and it will be presented by Jen Dart. Welcome, Jen.
Good afternoon. I don't think I'm quite as tall. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Thanks for having us. My name is Jen Dart, and I'm the Operations and Development Manager with Redfish. And I'd love to share, I think we had a presentation. Did you get that? Yeah? Like a visual presentation? No? Oh, okay. Sorry. It got sent, but maybe not. It was just today. So unfortunately, maybe we don't have that for you. No, nothing. Okay. I will off the cuff it then. So we are a registered charity. We celebrated our 30th anniversary last year in 2025 of working in the traditional territories of the Nuu-chah-nulth Nations here on the West Coast. We're focused on ecosystem restoration, research, and education. We do a lot of work with the aquarium, as Laura was mentioning before. We have about 25 staff in the summertime. It swells to just over 30 with summer students and extra shop staff and so forth. This year we're doing mainly smaller projects, restoration-wise, in several areas across the region. So we have Hush Great Nation, we were doing some slope stability work there. In Tloquet Great Nation territory, we work on the Tranquil River in several different areas. I'm talking like land-based restoration right now. And then we have a variety of projects. We're getting requests from other areas to do restoration work in other areas. So that's been really encouraging. We did a Salt Springs project this year. Beaver Dam Analogs was the focus of that project on Salt Spring. So that's really fun for our staff to go and work with other nations and other groups. Oh, there we go. Thank you. Oh, no, not at all. You've got a lot to manage over there. So this one has some embedded video. So hopefully if you, when that comes up, it's not on every slide. So I think the project list was on slide 2 or maybe slide 3. Sorry, there we go. So this is a list of those projects that we're working on this year in terms of restoration. You can hit that next slide too. And in the marine area, we have a bunch going on. As Laura mentioned, we do eelgrass surveys as well as restoration project that we're doing this year. Kelp monitoring and restoration. We do oceanographic data collection, which is testing for salinity and oxygen content with the Tloquet First Nation. We're working on marine mammal response as well as forage fish habitat monitoring. We can go forward on the next one. And this is a video. I don't know if it will work, but we can try. So this is one of those social media videos that's presented sideways, but it's a cool look through the eelgrass restoration project that we're doing in Tloquet territory, where we're actually planting eelgrass. So it's, we have divers going down to actually put it into the ocean floor to help with that, and some nice groovy music to go with it too. It's a really quick one. So it's kind of cool to see the underwater view of this project. You kind of have to tilt your head for this one, but it's the popular trend in social media to get a wider view. I don't know. So this is a straight up and down video of kelp restoration and monitoring. Laura mentioned that both eelgrass and kelp are really important habitat for juvenile salmon and many other species as well. Oh, this one has a different track to it. I love it. So it's providing for those out-migrating juvenile salmon. This is really important habitat. We're doing a pilot project at 2 different sites in Clayoquot Sound, and where we've installed in-ocean nurseries, so kelp on long lines. We're going to be doubling our capacity there next year, and as we're very close to getting permits for Barkley as well. So we're really, really excited about that. And on the next slide, we have just a picture of those in-ocean nurseries. So there's long lines that are anchored at both ends. And interestingly, we have biocams, so underwater cameras that are going to be taking a snapshot at the top of every hour for 5 minutes. So we'll get a really good idea of what wildlife is making use of these sites. And we're also outplanting some of this kelp into different sites strictly for restoration. And I'm sure everyone is pretty familiar with our work, but kelp is so important for a variety of reasons, not just habitat, but also provides carbon sink and as I mentioned, like habitat for many different species. So we can go ahead next slide. I wanted to highlight this program also in our marine department. It's a marine mammal response sign that we developed with the district and with the district support. And a shout out to Wanda and also to Brittany for their help with this program. So this is specifically talking about if visitors see marine mammals in distress, and this happens really often with molting elephant seals that pull out in different areas in the district. So this signage program will give visitors an indication and you know the greater public just of what to do and what not to do in those situations. And then certainly our staff is available to assist with any of those types of incidents, roping off these animals while they molt, and so on and so forth. So yeah, this was a really great partnership, and just wanted to thank the district for that. I think we can go forward one slide. And I know that council had the opportunity to come to the location that we currently have on Peninsula Road, the old Murray's building that we're developing slowly into a new stewardship center. There's some visuals here of the interior of that plan. But we did want to thank you for coming to visit and checking it out. We are planning a year-round hub for education, culture, and environmental leadership around the concept of Hishik Isawak, so everything is connected. We would love to take the off-flow from the aquarium into our restoration stewardship center. So this will be a really interactive center. It will welcome community groups for events. We will have a whole bunch of displays and interactive setups for kids. There's a few really cool exhibits in the works. We did receive some ICE funding, as you were mentioning earlier, for this project, as well as some Pacifican funding. We are looking for additional funding, and we just recently applied for some that will hopefully allow us to do this project in a more fulsome way, as opposed to kind of piecemeal over time. Yeah, there's a lot of work that needs to be done to that building, as I'm sure you would guess. But please feel free to flip forward through these slides. There's a couple more images there to check out of just renderings of what that interior could look like. So Build-A-Well, that's one of our exhibits that we have. Sorry, it's just on the last slide there. And that came to us from Strawberry Island Marine Research Society, from Rod Palm's organization that he had. And that's a skeleton of a killer whale, which I'm sure you've probably seen at the lighthouse during our summer interpretive programming, but that will find a more permanent place in the stewardship center when it's not in use elsewhere. We also have working on a 3D printed version of that one too, so it could travel around too. Yeah, you can go forward if you wouldn't mind. And so that's just an example of how an event could be set up in that space. Could hold quite a few seats. There's going to be a variety of rooms to move through. An immersive theater display will be one of the displays. We're sort of trying to tell the story of restoration, and it will involve the nations. They've already been involved, especially Kluthot, in planning and envisioning for the center. So yeah, can move forward again. On that first slide is I think Laura also mentioned our Salmon Trail program, which we do in partnership with them. It's a great summertime program free of charge to learn more about the salmon life cycle. And you can flip forward again. There's Build a Well that we're bringing throughout the month of August so people can come and have a hands-on opportunity to build that whale structure. And then we did some Pro deity programming. We do lots of workshops and stuff out of that space. So we're just trying to provide welcoming the community into the space as it currently exists, and then developing our programming from there. Yeah, you can go right ahead. We do sea star surveys to monitor for sea star wasting disease. We do that with the aquarium as well. We do the Tofino sites. They do the harbor, and then we have a whole whole little science center for kids in the temporary center that we have right now in our location. Yeah, so as I mentioned, that funding, as when you're at UBCM, it would be amazing if you're talking to any of those ministers about renewing both, restoration funding and then trying to bring more tourism and community amenities to Ucluelet. And that's all I had. Just wanted to thank the district for your ongoing support as well in helping to make that amenity happen.
Thank you, Jen. We really did enjoy the tour that staff
good.
gave us a couple of months ago. It was really amazing. I hadn't been in that building since it was Murray's, so
Me
yeah,
neither.
it's quite different.
Yes.
And my other question was Strawberry Island research that was kind of absorbed by Redfish, was it not?
Yes, we amalgamated with that society and have been doing our best to continue. We have one of their staff members on our staff now, Sophie. So we're trying to continue as much as we can those programs, mainly around Build a Well and also the marine mammal response. DFO has not been as forthcoming, unfortunately, with funding for those types of programs. So, I mean, I think federally we all recognize that there's a funding issue. So we're trying to piece it together, and I think that's what we kind of do with the majority of our funding. We get a lot of grants, and we're working on the other side of, as Mako, who's our chair, knows, we're working on the philanthropy side and that. But yes, we did amalgamate with Simmers, and it's been a really great addition, I think, to Redfish.
Perfect. Any questions for Jen? Councillor Anderson?
No, I think this is great what you're doing. I think it's that tour that we got was terrific, and we got to see what's going on. It would be I mean to think yeah, you're getting Pacific Camp funding. That's great, and Ice-T, and also it might be worthwhile for you guys too to potentially reach out to the premier and say, look, because Ice-T is kind of on the precipice right now of not being funded, and I think that might be a short-sighted decision on the premier's part. And it's kind of a dire situation, and that funding is Redfish, it's Resurf, it's a whole bunch of really important initiatives. So, yeah, how much that Ice-T does for the island and especially remote communities is huge. I think folks in the legislature need to see that presentation because it is incredibly important. I just had a couple of questions about, have you had any funding opportunities with DFO, UBC, UVic, or the Pacific Seaweed Industry Association, the PSIA? Have you ever interacted with those folks? I think during the meeting or the tour, you said the universities haven't been super helpful at this point.
Not with the kelp yet. Meopar is an organization we've been partnering with for funding. We're also looking at more private funding for kelp, but at this point, no, which is surprising given how much attention and interest there is in kelp right now, both as a restoration piece for ocean health, but also as a marketable product for some retailers. So. Unfortunately not, but I would love to connect with you maybe after and get those, because the funding is hard to come by, to be honest. And we're in the pilot program stage right now, but as I mentioned, we have the capacity, we have the ability to expand that program, and it will just be a matter of finding money to do it. So
yeah, we could definitely have that conversation.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I think it's an industry that can potentially support sort of some of the legacy sectors that are trailing off a little bit, like the hake industry and open net salmon fish pens. Like this is something that can kind of come in and fill that gap in coastal communities. So yeah, no, that's great.
Agreed. Okay, great. That would be awesome.
Excellent. Thank you.
Councillor Noel?
You're underplaying. Great job, Jen. Thank you. I've been with Redfish for 12 years, and and I've seen lots of ups and downs, and we're in a down. There, when Jen politely says there's no money, there's like honestly, the what you see of Redfish today is complete survival, and you know, Jessica and the team they're dogfighters, and we're currently trying to find how do we find secure funding models. We were successful for a few years there, and that all dried up. And this is really just also a prime example of what is the first thing that the federal or provincial government cross off the list, and it's creek restoration, things that we all know are important. You know, we're talking about eelgrass. I mean, that's off the list. So when I say that, you know, we're selling coffee downstairs in order to keep the lights on and stuff, that's what we're at. And we know we're in this fight for the next 18, 24 months. So, you know, every little contract that maybe we looked the other way of maybe a couple of years ago because we were successful getting some big funding and doing some good work. Now we're back to the basics where we were, you know, 15 years ago, where every little $2,500 contract really matters in order to try. And it's quite frankly very overwhelming for staff when you've got that much of a portfolio, you know, to do the work. So I just really wanted to just really say out to the public here, you know, we're going to survive this, but you know, and I love what you said. I'd love for us. I can't wait to get this interpretive center. I can't wait to get $10 a head to come through that door to go into our center, and hopefully we get 60,000 people. And that's part of our survival is the interpretive center, in order to give us another opportunity for revenue, in order to kind of, you know, to survive. And we knew that when we bought the building, Murray's, it wasn't Jessica's dream building, but we knew that we needed to get ourselves a home base in order to, you know, to kind of to grow. So anyways, I just wanted to say that, you know, there is no funding out there, and what you see is definitely a survival thing, and you guys are doing a fantastic job.
Well, thanks. And we couldn't do it obviously with our board members too. So I just want to recognize the person who's on quite a few boards locally, and it's all volunteer, and it's an incredible help to the organizations locally to see so many community members participating. And yeah,
it's important.
Will be said.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I like your idea of getting the overflow from the aquarium. That's
Yeah,
great.
absolutely.
If they're too busy, we'll take it.
Perfect. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you.
All right, those are the scheduled societies. So just calling for any additional presenters. Patricia, for Forest Glen or Seaview Seniors.
And I apologize for not RSVPing. I realized I was supposed to, but I didn't. So I'm here. Thank you for giving me the time to speak. And thank you, Mayor and Council members, for this opportunity to update you on what we have done since October. And thanks once again for the financial support to our luncheons. That's a very major thank you. Thank you. We have been frugal with our funds, and we have stretched them well with the help of local restaurants. So Black Rock and Heartwood and Howlers have all donated pots of soup. And then for the other months, we have local chefs that volunteer and prepare the soups, and we buy the ingredients for them through the fund that you have provided. And a few times the food bank has had surplus produce that won't necessarily stay for another week or so. So if it's something we can make soup out of, and it happens to be close to our soup day, we take that and turn it into soup. So we have accessed many sources, and the Pacific Rim Hospice, through their Better at Home program, has covered our dessert cost for probably more than a year. And every month we have a small army of dedicated volunteers that help us set up and prepare and serve the soup and clean up afterwards. So this is another positive benefit of sharing the meal together. And it also, the people that help us it provides them an outlet for helping others, and it contributes to their feeling of commitment to the community and their own mental well-being. So it's the one luncheon a month does have many spinoffs in very positive areas. So once again, I'll use the metaphor of the stone soup. We take small things, small gifts from many people, and turn it into a community. And it also brings not just the residents, but it's a pull for the local seniors to come and interact with our seniors at Forest Glen, and it gives them an opportunity to interact with each other. And we have a variety of guest speakers who share valuable information with our residents and other seniors. Vancouver Health came and did a talk on fall prevention, and the local lawyer has spoken about the legal documents that are helpful for seniors to have. And then a representative from Lifeline came to explain the various devices that seniors can use to keep them safe when they're alone. And then Abby has updated us on the accessibility work that the Accessibility Committee has done. And in January, we didn't have a speaker, but as a result of not having a speaker, one of our longtime residents stood up and did some reminiscing about the building, which led to a whole bunch of a full room of people reminiscing about the past. And I'm sorry that Claudia's not here because she would smile at this, because that then spun off to the Historical Society deciding to do the fisherman's dinner. And because there was a lot of talk about that at this particular luncheon. So that was another spinoff that we had. And outside of our luncheons, we have sought to establish ties with other agencies whose work also involves older residents. We continue to work closely with the Pacific Rim Hospice. We attend the Coastal Family Coalition meetings, and we're working with Hospice, the Tofino Hospital Society, the Clayoquot Biosphere Trust, and the Alberni Clayoquot Regional Health Network to help document the need for more long-term care beds on the coast. And Marcy DeWitt is the sort of the coordinator of all of that, but all of these people are working with her. All of these groups are working with her to convince them that we have a need that's not being met. And we've recently met with BC Housing to discuss our way forward now that Forest Glen is no longer an assisted living facility. So we've been talking budgets. It's obvious that it takes a whole community to support our older citizens. And we recognize that we can do our part in this community. And to that end, we've offered our space to a foot clinic that comes not necessarily every month, but quite often. And to a mobile dental hygiene van comes and is available to not just to our residents, but to other residents of the community. And in cooperation with Ears to You, on this Friday and the following Monday, there will be a van there to do hearing tests and to make arrangements to clean hearing aids if people need them, or to help with batteries, or even to recommend the need for hearing aids if the tests indicate such. And we recognize that offering our space to these groups enables the providers to keep their expenses low, and also makes what they charge the participants in town to have more affordable services. So that's another way that we benefit the whole community. So on behalf of the residents of Forest Glen, our board, and all the older people of Ucluelet, I extend our thanks for all the agencies in town that work together to support each other and in turn our seniors. And please remember that all these organizations are by simple acts of kindness and generosity, as well as any financial help that we can get. Thank you.
Thanks, Patricia. Any comments or questions for Patricia? Councillor Anderson?
Thank you very much. That was Patricia. That's great. I think Forest Glen's really lucky to have you. I just had a couple of questions. There's a whole bunch of good things in there, and I think it was interesting that we almost started off today with daycare, and then we're ending with seniors care.
Yeah, I bookend you. Yeah, so start with the little ones and end with us.
Well,
Yes.
but the thing is Josie was just here, and we talked about the success that Adrian Dix had touted previously of about 3 or 4 different municipalities that combine daycares with senior centers, and how successful that turned out to be. And there's metrics that they came up with to say that it was a very healthy situation to do that. I think it's Cumberland, maybe Port McNeil. I don't know. I'm just making these names up now. I don't know, but it was a really interesting situation. So I'm curious, when you were having the conversation with BC Housing, was there any? I know BC Housing is kind of against the wall funding wise right now, but was there anything on the horizon for BC Housing right now? Because I know Josie's talking about that, and if there was a possibility of an expansion.
There were plans. They have been drawn up, but they have been shelved. And this was just before I came onto the board that they decided to not go ahead with any plans for an expansion. I know it was designed with the ability to expand, and there's enough space there to expand. But there doesn't seem to, no, BC Housing isn't jumping at the to do it, and whether or not, and because VHA sort of abandoned us, I shouldn't use that term. That's not what they did. Sorry, that off the record. So I don't know. There were plans drawn up, whether they would be relevant now because they're probably 10 years old now. But they're still in some storage over there someplace. So I don't know. We haven't been approached for expansion. I think the thing is staffing. We lost assisted living because VHA wasn't able to provide the money for us to staff it to the level that it would continue to be assisted living. So simply having a physical building is probably only a tiny first step, because they would need staffing. And so I think the idea of having it in Tofino by the hospital there, or connected to the hospital there, is probably more economically feasible because of staffing rather than having something here. So, but we need something somewhere here. Yes.
Yeah. So there's a conversation, and the mayor and I have been engaged with Dan Levitt, the BC Seniors Advocate, and with Marcy as well from ACHN.
Yes.
So yeah, there's a good conversation going on right now about some possible alternatives to that, because I think home care has almost been like eliminated entirely in Tofino. So we're kind of in a bad situation right now.
Apparently it's improved slightly. Because the people that I've been talking with that were, trying for months or even a year or so to get some more home support, suddenly it's there. So I don't know. It's still not sufficient, but we have had an increase in home support here over last year at this time.
Really?
But
We should have a meeting with Marcy and sit down and chat about that before we talk to Dan again, because we were thinking about doing like sort of drawing up a committee between like on the peninsula here so that we can work together.
yeah, and that's what I was referring to here. That's the group that we're working with, and we're part of that group. So yes, Marcia is she's got the funding from Clayoquot Biosphere Trust to be the coordinator of it, but we are all sort of part of that group that's gathering information for her.
That's
And
great.
and I'm not saying you don't need to say that the home care needs have been met. They're just they're just slightly better than they were.
Right.
When they were, we won't say they're non-existent anymore. There's some there.
Excellent. Well, we should have a meeting. We should all bring in, I guess, Marcy and
Oh yes,
and
yes.
Dan as well.
And I don't know I've had a little bit of a correspondence with Marcia, but not a lot. So I don't know what point she's at. But I think that's part of her plan, is it? And we have data that we can share with her, but she hasn't asked for it yet.
Yeah, there was a group in Vancouver, coastal Vancouver, that they actually have a fund as a workaround for assisted living or independent living, I guess, as it is, if it's not 24-hour, where they can buy houses and actually outfit them and hire people to come in that independent living capacity. And it's much cheaper than buying an expansion with beds. It's like almost like $1 million per bed. It's really expensive, but there's a workaround that they're doing in Vancouver right now. Josie had mentioned it. So that was one of the things that we wanted to talk about too.
But we don't have a lot of vacant housing here.
No, but and it's a good point. That's a good point.
I mean, I agree it would be a workable solution if there was. So yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, and I think the phase 2 plans kind of got shelved because phase 2 was meant to be assisted living, which would require extra, oxygen and extra
we don't I think
long-term
long-term care.
long-term care.
Because we were equipped to handle assisted living, but not long-term care.
Right.
But we don't have we couldn't provide the staffing that would be required, and VHA wasn't willing to finance that level of staffing. So
Because they wanted 24 hours a day
Yes,
staffing.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and you have no budget for that.
No, and they, well, I mean, they would be the one paying, but they have no budget for that. We'd
Right.
just be, we would,
We, council had a meeting with the Minister of State, Brittany Anderson, on Friday, and we did bring up the situation with her. I don't know if she's able to do anything, but her portfolio is to represent small rural communities. And so we did bring up this particular situation as well as daycare with her on Friday. So we'll follow up with her too.
good, thank you. Every bit of help, every
Yes.
bit helps.
Okay, thanks, Patricia. Councillor Noel, did you want to speak about the food bank?
Bank, can I do it from here?
Sure.
Yeah, food bank. We just recently did our AGM, and I thought maybe Patricia was going to speak to it, but I'll there was a recent BC Food Bank convention that I attended with a couple of the board members, and the dire strait out there. We here at our local food bank, we have about 400 visitors a month, right? So you do that in per capita, it's quite a large percentage here. Every other food bank I've been to, that was my second AGM that I've gone to, and there's no money. There's no money coming. You watch the news, every global news 2 or 3 times a week, and they keep talking about the money that's coming to food banks. There's no money coming, going to bureaucrats and telling us that we need to fill out certain forms and a standard of excellence. So I try not to make too much of a mockery of the system there, but it's hard because all these little food banks, which are 100% volunteers. I'm a volunteer. I'm proud to be the president of the food bank, and we're very fortunate to be in our own building. We have a lot of community support. For people may or may not know, but we have a solar system on top of our building, so we're carbon neutral or hydro neutral. We recently installed a couple by donation, a couple of heat pumps, because unbeknownst to us, when you add a bunch of refrigeration systems, your room gets very hot very quickly. So we do these great little things, and then another problem presents itself. So we just got those installed, and then now we're have about a $60,000 budget, and we're going to be working on covering the deck, because we've got a beautiful location, but we're not covered from the weather. The weather hits us, and there's no relief from it. So we're going to be working on with the planning department and Herald Engineering with some getting our deck covered there for the users to be a bit more protected. And the big step for us here is we actually hired an ED, executive director. So this has been always a volunteer base. Sometimes it's very, we try our best, but we're all working ourselves. So we did a big step and hired a local person to be our new ED. So we're quite excited with that. They're going to be starting next month, and which is going to really be able to ensure that we're a bit consistent with different levels of government. I think we all know that it's just trying to find some more funding opportunities to get more substantial funding. So, and lastly, at our AGM, we're down to 5 board members. A few have left for personal reasons, so we're just kind of circling the wagons here, and everything's going good. We're a wonderful little board and doing a lot of great things in the community. So, and we always appreciate the district's support. So, thank you.
Are you at liberty to announce who your new ED is?
Carla, sorry, I should know her last name, and I'm sorry. She's going to. Carla was, geez, oh man, and I was looking at my phone earlier for that.
You knew I'd ask.
Yeah. So Carla's come in. She's got a lot of strong roots in the community. She's worked in the school system. She's worked with CBT. So she's worked with West Coast Nest. So she's well versed in the community. So that's what we're looking for, someone to help us get out there. Not really someone to put tomatoes in the boxes, but really just kind of work with other agencies in the area about how do we work on more sustainable funding. So we're not always kind of, hand to mouth. I do believe that just because you're a nonprofit doesn't mean you should be broke, right? We should be able to be a vibrant nonprofit, and we are. So we decided to budget about $45,000 for the next 12 months towards this position, which we anticipate will probably be 20-25 hours a month, while she kind of helps look after our handful of volunteers that we have working for us. And then, like I said earlier, the federal government has made it mandatory for us to work at a different standard, that there's really no circumventing that you can just be volunteers the way we're running it. So our hands are a bit tied and we're kind of going down a different direction. And fortunately, we're financially strong and we know that we can kind of get through this. And like I said, it's because of the community support that we have from everybody. So we thank you for that.
Great. Thanks for your report. Is anyone else in the audience that wishes to speak?
Through the mayor, Tanya's here from Wild Pacific Trail.
Oh, hi, Tanya. Yes, please join us at the mic.
Davis. Oh, Davis, thank you. Save. Charlotte Davis for the mic.
Tanya saved the day.
Yeah, we just worked with her too. She's awesome.
Yes, there you go. He vouched for her. So wonderful. Thank you for the save.
So my name's Tanya with the Wild Pacific Trail Society, the education coordinator. So we are also off to an incredibly busy season. Our events calendar is out for July and August. Happy to share that we have buy donation programs happening every day, up to 3 a day on Fridays. Our staff team has expanded to its largest on record. We are now a trio. 1 full-time year-round, 1 part-time year-round, and 1 returning summer student. We have new and continuing programs with our partners, Raincoast Education Society, Ukulele Aquarium, Parks Canada, Wild Safe BC, Redfish, and others. Please check our website for full program info and the posters around the building too here. Exciting programs I wanted to highlight. Res is hosting a brand new Mudflats / Japanese / ukulele history program at Spring Cove every Monday. It's really interesting. They've got great photos too from the Historic Society, so thank you everyone on that. Redfish is hosting Build a Whale, as Jen mentioned, where people of all ages can put together the entire orca skeleton and learn all about it. That's at Big Beach on Fridays. And then on rainy dates, we're moving it to Amphitrite House, and it fits perfectly. We're really trying to target all of our programs to be geared towards both residents and visitors. You might have also noticed that we've launched private walks by donation too this year, which is going pretty well. We're delivering about 3 to 5 a month. This is a 1-hour guided walk for groups of 1 to 25 people that people can book with us separately. There's a variety of topics to choose from, and it's been booked by families, tourism operators, and there's been actually I've noticed a trend for add-ons to corporate team building weekends. Weekends we're hosting Amphitrite House 9 to 4, and we're currently fundraising towards the development of the interpretive displays inside of the center. So we're looking at expanding avenues for funding as well. One of our new funding initiatives includes a brand new merch drop. Stickers and magnets have been developed in partnership with local artist Wild Free Creative and can be purchased at Amphitrite House starting this Saturday for sale on the weekends, with hats and t-shirts on the way. We are growing. We are reaching attendance numbers higher than ever, and we are seeking funding required for delivering the programming and to staff Amphitrite House. And it has been a challenge, but we really, really appreciate the extraordinary support from all of our partners in the district. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks, Tanya. Any questions for Tanya? Comments? Councillor Noel?
Do you still have your little human counter on the trails?
Yes, we do.
Could you share numbers there? Are you finding it continuously the same story the aquarium had?
Yes, our numbers are up. The trail numbers are up, and also our program numbers are up. Last year, we had our highest on record, and we were reaching max capacity on our walks, which we try to do, 25 is the max. Our Big Beach programs are hitting up to 50 people on Fridays. So we tag teamed the aquarium, and we've got extra staff to join us. So yeah, we're anticipating that too. But we are seeing numbers going up, especially at Amphitrite House too. We just added a counter on the outside of the building. So it'll be interesting to know for outside versus inside as we continue to develop and what that looks like.
I love that you have those little counters everywhere. It's good. Oh, thank you. You're doing a great job out there, Tanya.
And there's still donation boxes spread out around the trails? Trailheads?
Yes, donation boxes everywhere and online, and with our merch too. We upgraded to the present with a POS system, and we're accepting donations at the center too with our new little tap as well.
Nice.
Great. Awesome. Okay, I don't see any other questions, so thank you for your presentation.
Thanks so much.
Anyone else in the room that wishes to present? No. Ms. Pelshad, are there any representatives on Zoom that would like to present? No. All right. Yeah, just before we move on to bylaws, is there any unfinished business? Seeing none, I'll call a 5-minute recess.
I was like, I looked at that and I'm like, I'm not trying that.
Okay, anyway, I like this little, non-public.
All right, we'll resume the meeting at 5:52. There is one bylaw item on the agenda today. It is titled Wildlife Attractant Amendment Bylaw and Bylaw Notice Enforcement Amendment Bylaw Adoption, and it will be presented by Tyler Brown, Director of Planning and Strategic Initiatives.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I won't dwell on too long. This one's been in front of you a couple times. This amendment bylaw was simply to add in the appropriate fees. First, second, and third reading were given on June 23rd, and what's before you tonight is simply adoption.
Thank you. And we now have all the fees that are going to be the bylaw allows these fees to be charged against people that are not doing things correctly.
That is correct.
Any questions for Mr. Brown? I was really pleased to see on the community board, I think Alicia Fox posted some of the of this, and the comments, every single comment from everybody was positive. There were no negative comments about, oh my gosh, that's way too much money. It's like, let's find these people that are doing things incorrectly, and maybe we'll not have to kill 13 bears this year. So yeah, so I was really happy to see the public commentary on that. Okay, there are two recommendations. I believe they can be read together. Separately? Okay, separately. Councillor Anderson?
I'll move the District of Ucluelet Wildlife Attractant Amendment Bylaw number 1390.01, 2026 be adopted.
Second.
Councillor Hoare seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? None opposed, that carries.
I will also move the Bylaw Notice Enforcement Amendment Bylaw number 2019.01, 2026 be adopted.
Second.
Councillor Hoare seconds. Any further discussion? Councillor Noel?
I think Cam's doing a great job. I just, it's great to have this, but also it'd be one thing just to have the bylaw, but it's a whole nother thing when we have our conservation officer running around. This morning I was over in Atatsu dealing with something, and to see him go over there quickly to another community over there. I've met with him and Tyler already once, and he's just full of energy. He's personable, and it's just nice to see him around. So I think, it's nice that we have this bylaw. It's great, but I think the fact that we have this guy running around in a blue truck, he's reactionary, he's quick, he's not trying to hide in a corner for a nap. He's in the community, and the two of them, it's going great. So as a commercial service provider, at first I was a little apprehensive of how, he's doing a fantastic job. So and it's great, and so I really want to say that the two of them in collaboration are going very, very well.
That's great to hear. And I believe education is sort of the first line of defense, and then moving on to fines if.
Yeah, because I think we've done education for 10 years with Bob, right? And I think the reality is it was always the same thing. Bob didn't have he had the will to do the chicken coops and stuff, but he just didn't have the meat and the means and to do enforcement stuff. So I think, we've tried the wild safe stuff. It's been, I'd say it's been great, but really unsuccessful, really, to be honest. And I think that with the correlation of these two items here for 2026, I think it's going to go well, and I think we're going down a different path.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? None opposed, that carries. All right. Councillor Mafty, are you needing to leave?
No, sorry, I meant after all of the voting, so I'm gonna stay here and listen to the report items as well.
Oh, okay, great, thank you. We have 3 reports on the agenda today. The first report is titled Development Permit with Variances for 1920 Peninsula Road, and it will be presented by Hannah Walsh, planner. Ms. Walsh.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a development permit and development variance permit application review for the second phase of Yuki Harbour development at 1920 Peninsula Road. The first phase of the development was approved in April 2019, and this consisted of a food court, retail space, and hotel units. This application for the second building is at the rear of the site, consisting of the remainder of the hotel rooms and parking. The property is in CS2 zone and is zoning compliant except for the request of 2 variances, the building's height and loading requirements. The proposed height of the building is 12.4 meters, whereas the maximum permitted height of a principal building in this zone is 8.5 meters. The height increase is to facilitate the rooftop patio and the elevator vent. Given the gross floor area of the proposed building, 2 loading spaces are required by the zoning bylaw. The applicant is proposing just 1 loading space. It is staff's recommendation to authorize the approval of the variances. That's the development portion, and now we'll just move on to a quick description of the development permit board. The permit is within development permit area 2 of the official community plan, and so a form and character development permit is required, meaning this review centers around the architecture and design of the building and how it aligns with the official community plan guidelines. The development permit review should focus specifically on alignment with the form and character guidelines F1 to F32 and F21 through to F27 of the official community plan. If council denies the development permit, they should state which guidelines have not been met. Should the development permit be approved, further rock excavation would need to take place, and impacts created by the blasting will be assessed at building permit. The applicant will be required to complete geotechnical reporting that would provide information on how the excavation would affect neighbouring slopes. Staff's recommendation is to approve the development permit. If council have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
All right, thank you. So just for clarification, the application is totally compliant except for the height and the number of loading spaces, which is what we're
Exactly.
discussing
So
tonight.
it's the trigger for the necessity of the 2 variances.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Questions for Hannah? Councillor Noel?
To Mr. Anderson, but you know, you have, okay, I'll go start the party here. I wish there were some pictures on the wall here. Do you have something to put on so we can on the over the overhead here? The reason I'm saying that you made a mention that this variance is for the second building in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
And again, I think it would just be handy because this is an important topic, and I want to make sure we get it here. So
yeah,
going up Peninsula Road with Courtney screaming at everybody on the deck, going up the hill here. What we're seeing is this 2-story building. Again, I just want to make sure that I'm getting this right here. And
the architectural renderings are within the report, so I don't know
No,
if
I
we
know
can
I've
get
got
them
them
up,
here. I
maybe if that would help, or
Courtney?
if we could get them up, if that would help, or
Do you want them on the screen?
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, just so
Yeah.
we're talking apples to apples here.
yeah, I think it's easier with the plans in front to just kind of go through them that way.
Oh, geez, putting you on the spot. Right when Flo took off. What are you on?
So Appendix B, it would be
Okay, I got 41. I see in the first building, the north elevation, south elevation.
50.
Okay. So we're driving by, and that's what we're seeing right now. No change. There we go. And that is behind.
Exactly, yeah. So the exact level, I suppose, there's an underground car park at grade, then there's 3 levels, and then on top of that is a roof deck patio. And if you were standing at Peninsula Road, so I think it would help to particularly look at Plan A103, which
And the reason I'm just getting you to do the elementary one play-by-play here is just there's
Yeah.
a misconception that there's something that people are going to be coming through a 4-story building on Peninsula Road. And that's what I just want to spend a couple minutes on here regarding this variance here. He's not asking for a variance regarding the one on Peninsula Road, but the building in the back.
Exactly, the one in the rear. So the first building has already been approved by a development permit back in 2018. So that's solidified.
No, I'm clear on that one.
That seems like so long ago that this was before us. 2018. Wow.
Oh, sorry, 2019. So the application was lodged in 2018.
So yeah, still feels like
Yeah.
a long time ago.
In terms of what you will see from Peninsula Road, this is obviously an aerial shot of the buildings, but your view will be obstructed for like maybe 3/4 or 2/3 of the building. What you can see standing on the peninsula, will be obstructed by the front building. So what you can see in terms of the facade of the rear building is the sort of left-hand portion of the orange rectangle.
And just to be clear, this does not need to go to public hearing
No.
because it corresponds with the official community plan.
Because there's no mandatory requirement under the Local Government Act for public hearings for development variance permits or development permits. So we followed the notice requirements, like the postal notice requirements under the Local Government Act.
It's perfect.
In the
Thank you.
preceding few weeks.
And on the original application, it was just for one building.
Yes, yeah. The approved drawings of the original application are within Appendix A.
I can see
Yeah.
that. Okay. Again,
Yeah.
there's misconception out there, so I just wanted to
Yeah, no, of course, yeah.
not just bing bang.
Councillor Anderson, anything from you?
I enjoy these correspondence from Miss Fox. Yeah, she nails all the questions. But yeah, her first one, I think Tyler may have answered this, is what did she say? Can you advise when the larger phase 2 portion of the development was approved by council and provide the meeting date or staff report? But this, what's the answer to that? This was in the past, right?
Well, it was a
So-
phased approach, I think, right?
The first phase DP, when the first phase, meaning the first building at the front, DP was approved in 2019, and then this is for the second phase, the building at the rear. As in, we're assessing that now.
Right.
Is
Right.
that
So this is, yeah, we're we're in the DP phase for the second part right now.
exactly? Yeah.
Right. So that hasn't, okay. I think that was the question, is she thought that it had already been approved as a DP for the second phase, but we're just at the variance phase for this.
This is it.
This is it.
Right. No, but that's what the variance is for, is the second phase, right?
And just to be clear, if council denies the DP, they must clearly state which guidelines have not been met.
Right.
So I thought that was an important piece of information. Yeah.
I would love to see that in the bold little there too as well. Because the reality is, for me, I'm supportive of this. Okay. I what I see coming up Peninsula Road, it's in character form. I think we're trying to get the West Coast look. I think it's there. We got some street appeal. And this phase 2, if it were to happen, I think that it's needed. I know there's been some talk whether it should have a couple more, where staff going to park, and we could have all those kind of what ifs. And again, I like to remind people our parking problem in Ucluelet is for it's for the summertime. We wish we had a parking problem come October 1st, right? Restaurants and businesses are suffering it's a very long winter here. So walkability from this location, you're not driving from Black Rock here, you're just walking up the road. There's lots of parking across the street. There's lots of parking at the boat basin, which is completely empty come September 15th, so again, I don't want to be, focusing on whether the Cisco truck is going to park on Peninsula Road or in the back. I think, once if it were to get built, those are good problems. That means there's growth. That means there's another 40 people working in town, and it's not going to change the housing crisis that we have here, where people are going to work, or live. It's always going to be here. So again, these are the things that people are going to bring up, how this is going to affect our community. Every decision we make affects the community, but this is the first time we've seen a hotel development come to our community since BlackRock, 2007. So 20 years ago, BlackRock opened up, and it hasn't been easy for BlackRock, right? And so it's not easy to build anything in this community. So again, I'm going to just kind of stick with the fact that the character of the building kind of coming up Peninsula Road is as displayed, and if it's more of a box in the back that no one can see, but it's providing, a hotel would be great. Yes, it would be also always wonderful to see some of the hotel units be staff units, right? Again, that's not the discussion today, but, when you're building a hotel like this, hopefully you do, that you're thinking about how do you add 5 or 6 spots for staff in order for, to do that, because there's not many managers in town and more staff. So we all know it's a housing situation. So, and a lot of people would love to see that, but that's not the question today. So again, I'm okay with the variance in my eyes, and I just want to put that on the table.
And potentially room for a daycare. You never know.
Well, I don't. Yeah,
Just throwing that out there. And just a reminder that with the zoning bylaw refresh that we've just been going through, Peninsula Road was identified as where growth should happen commercially. So this fits that bill perfectly. Councillor Mafty, anything from you?
Read all the correspondence. I've definitely had a lot of thought about it. At the end of the day, I think it's important to stay focused on what we're here to discuss and to vote on. Me personally, as far as the variance goes, I'm not crazy about the height, and I'm not crazy about the height specifically because I definitely understand where the concerns that I've heard are coming from. I think it's going to create, it's going to impose on what's already there, and it's not necessarily clear to me what the win is for the community. I understand what it is for the proponent. So this for me is one of those like what's in it for who, and where should my vote go? And I have to say that I'm more inclined to agree with members of the community saying that this is a variance that is probably going to have a detrimental impact to them. So that's the big one. And then as far as the loading space goes, I mean, we're never going to vote on one of these, 1 space, 2 space issues that's going to change the town, but it's death by 1,000 cuts, as Councillor Hoare often says. We have these rules in place. We have these recommendations in place. I feel like we need a really compelling reason to decide against sticking with them. I don't see a compelling reason. So yeah, I'm not supportive on this one.
Okay, thanks for your thoughts, Councillor Mafty. Councillor Anderson?
Oh, I just I wanted to ask just kind of an off question here. So with the infrastructure, would this sanitary wise or sewage wise, would this would be handled by the Hemlock lift station? Would that go over that way? I'm just trying to remember how that works. Sorry, I put you on the spot on that one, didn't I?
I'm very hesitant to answer and give a wrong answer. So at time of building permit, it would be reviewed by Coors to make sure that everything from collection to capacity is there to accommodate the proposal.
I'm just thinking the topography here, the way that hill goes up, and it's probably easier to take it across the street down to that lift station. Yeah, I would assume. Okay, yeah, and that's a new lift station essentially, right? At Hemlock. Yeah.
Councillor Hoare?
Death by 1,000 cuts. Thanks for that, Councillor Mafty. My concern with this one is this property is so much lower than the properties on the 2 side, and I'm worried about the geotech on this. Like, I know it hasn't been done, and I know there's a comment from Mr. Brown that they will have to do all of those things. But I know that this site drains all of the properties behind on St. Jake's, as well as it and the ones on either side. So becomes a little worrying when it comes to stormwater. That's been the site. I know that there's been a lot of work on that stormwater system, and I know that, but it's also the site that's been a foot deep in water in some of our bigger rain issues. And clearing that much space and having that much impermeable concrete is not conducive to dealing with stormwater well. And I'm wondering, because we had conversations about oh, now my brain has forgotten the words for it, but sort of greening of some of the like roadworks and bioswales and all of those things. And I'm wondering if any of that can get incorporated into this, so it's not just impermeable concrete for I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't want to see the forest go at the back of this at all. And I know that that blasting is not going to be pretty. But if it's all concrete, that problem's going to come back, even though it's been solved currently, I think.
I think there was a question in there somewhere.
In the drugs.
We'll attempt to parse one out, and if I missed the mark, please let me know. Mayor, just with respect to stormwater and the neighboring properties, for the context-wise for council's information, the district just did complete a fairly significant project there in conjunction and collaboration with the property owner, because the district was collecting stormwater through essentially nothing that was handling it properly. And so we're very grateful for the property owner in that regard to work with us and provide a solution. So that that project has been completed. That was completed this spring. With respect to the considerations before council, ultimately, this is not subdivision where that is the standards that were recently adopted with respect to offsite improvements and looking at alternative forms of stormwater collection, such as bioswales, so that those standards essentially aren't applicable here on an already developed streetscape. And I would just, with respect to the proposal as a whole in stormwater management, in staff's assessment, this is an already zoned property. And so what is being considered is the form and character. And in staff's assessment, it does meet the guidelines articulated in the OCP for form and character. So that's essentially the scope in which staff have reviewed the proposal, understanding that the variances and the development permit are issued, the next stage of approval would be building permit. And if the building inspector does have ever has concerns around geotechnical or even runoff through construction, they have the necessary authority to require those documents from the development proponent.
Thanks for that. I always get confused on what is when. Definitely not my strong suit. I will say though that on the two variances that are in front of us, I'm not a big fan of the height of the building. The parking underneath, it just makes me think of the airport hotels in Richmond, and I'm not a big fan of that look. I don't think it's really our West Coast sort of style. That's me personally. The loading zones, there is no room on Peninsula right there for vehicles to use that as their spot to park to load in. So not having two, I think, could be a problem. And I say that as someone who has watched, 3 or 4 commercial vehicles at the co-op, and then the Cisco truck is parked in front of the Barclay Cafe, and the CTS truck is parked in front of the brewery, and it's and those are places that have some space, and there's not a huge amount of space here for loading. So I really think that the 2 zones that are required, I'm with Councillor Mafty here. I haven't seen a good reason to not have it.
For reducing the loading space from 2 to 1, was there a specific reason why? It was just the plans?
So just to clarify as well, including the first phase DP that was approved, it'll be 2 loading spaces across the whole site. So the zoning bylaw prescribes zoning spaces per gross floor area for commercial and industrial uses. Within those uses is a wide range of activity. So we sort of made a staff assessment on, say, a more heavy use such as food use versus, say, a hotel use, which loading space is not perceived as being as intense. We sort of rationalized the recommendation based off that. Sometimes in other municipalities, they would have a much more detailed table around uses and the loading space requirements, whereas the districts is sort of simpler and more broad.
Okay, thanks for that. Any other further comments before we call the question? Councillor Noel?
Yeah, thank you. Just can you rephrase? You made a comment about if we don't vote in favor of, you have to give your reason for. Can you just elaborate a little bit? Because I got 2 councillors that are, I want to make sure we're clear on something here about reasons why. Can we just make sure we get that correct?
I think that's me that read that out, but go ahead.
But she also read it out in her
Yeah.
report.
So to refine the focus around the assessment of the DP being in relation to the form and character guidelines, council, should they deny the permit, should say which guidelines they don't think the permit aligns with.
Just to add to that, development permits, unlike some of the other development approvals, such as a zoning amendment approval, aren't what we would call truly discretionary in the sense of that council has ultimate authority to decide one way or the other. The courts have been fairly clear that when challenged, the development permit guidelines are essentially a pathway to yes. And if a proponent has come in and meets those guidelines, the permit should be issued. In cases where council or say a delegated person such as myself chooses to deny the permit, they should also be very clear in providing which guidelines aren't met to give the proponent opportunity to address them or come back at it, and so they understand the pathway to yes.
That answers your question? Okay. Any other discussion? I will start with the first recommendation. I'll move that council authorize the Director of Planning and Strategic Initiatives to execute and issue development variance permit DVP 26-05 that would 1, vary the principal building height to 12.4 meters, whereas the District of Ucluelet zoning bylaw 1160/2013 permits 8.5 meters, and 2, vary the loading space requirements to 1 loading space, whereas the District of Ucluelet zoning bylaw 1160/2013 permits 2 loading space requirements. Councillor Noel seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? That carries. And I will move that council authorize the Director of Planning and Strategic Initiatives to execute and issue development permit DP 25-06. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Noel seconds. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. Okay. Moving on to the second report. This is titled File Notice on the Land Title of Lot 3, District Lot 21, Clayoquot District, Plan 27793, and it will be presented by Tyler Brown, Director of Planning and Strategic Initiatives.
Thank you, Mayor. Before you tonight is a report that staff are recommending, or in it you'll find that staff are recommending that council authorize the corporate officer to register a notice on the land title for Lot 3, District Lot 21, Claycott District, Plan 27793, under the authority of Section 57 of the Community Charter. I think council's and the community are quite well aware of this site, and this action, if council moves forward with this recommendation, would formally record that the building on this property is unsafe and contravenes municipal bylaws, protecting potential buyers and reducing liability for the district. In the appendixes, we wanted to show you some photos, but also provide a timeline of the property. As you can see, we as staff, we can definitely sympathize with the members of the community that are frustrated and annoyed by the length in which this process has taken. That's completely understandable. These processes, in the best of scenarios, can take some time. As council is aware, there is some unfortunate circumstances with this property entering into probate and that process as well. But also the previous owner and some of the challenges they faced and staff faced communicating with that owner and trying to bring the property into compliance. But staff did issue a building permit on October 2024, but as we outlined in the timeline, unfortunately, that permit expired. There were stop work orders and do not occupy orders that were issued. And the regulatory, as I noted at the last meeting, but I think it's important, the regulatory process stalled because the property owner did pass away. Up until last month, it was in the probate process, which in our understanding has resolved. And now family members of the property owner are working with local representation to find a solution and bring the property into compliance. However, that is, I think, a positive development and one that staff would recommend pursuing those collaborative discussions with the new property owner as they navigate the challenging situation. But we don't view it as one that should extend into an infinite duration. It's one that we would recommend that we continue to monitor. And if it does not look like voluntary compliance is feasible or proceeding in a manner that we would sort of deem showing some initiative, we would be back in front of council with possible escalation options. The next one being that a demolition order, which we would present council with some options. We do note from your delegation at the last meeting that, and I think stemming from the frustration with the length of this process, the desire to proceed with a demolition order at this time, staff would not recommend pursuing that option at this juncture for two reasons. The first is, as I outlined, there is an opportunity to seek voluntary compliance with the new property owner, but also noting what I just stated, that we don't believe that's a process that should be allowed a lot of runway, but given some runway to respect the challenges of the situation. But maybe equal to that, or more importantly, the process with demolition order would require, if we go that route, would require the district to upfront the costs, although the costs could be added to the property taxes and recouped through that way. The upfront costs would be borne by the district, and that would currently be of this scale, something that we have not funded for in the budget. And there's some significant unknowns in that process with respect to the state of the building and any potential contaminants within the materials, which could further increase any demolition costs. So as in staff's assessment, as we see it now, there's an opportunity to work with a willing property owner, someone who I've spoken to personally, and have them work with our building department and local representation to hopefully find a solution in the near term for that property. If that does not proceed, staff would be in front of you with additional options for council to consider. And we would note that sort of the 2 to 3 month monitoring timeframe also aligns with council's budget for next year, where we could get a sense of the costs that may go along with the demolition order, and council could consider something like that in the next year's budget, so it's prepared for and can be dealt with in a timely manner and not an unexpected expense for the taxpayers as a whole. So staff are recommending that we proceed with the Section 57 notice on the land title as a first step, hopefully a last one, but a first step, and if necessary, to a greater enforcement action. That's staff's recommendation. The building inspector and myself are, of course, here to answer any questions to the best of our abilities. And And I just want to say we absolutely can sympathize with and empathize with the state of the property and the impact it has on the community. We would have liked to be back in, we would have liked to have been in front of you sooner than we are. But unfortunately, we just had some staffing capacities as well that resulted us in our delay. So we do own that, but we also acknowledge that it's been a very trying couple years with the situation of the property owner. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. So by filing this notice on the title with the Land Title Office, is there some sort of deadline that's stipulated in that notice that it has to be rectified by a certain date, or is it just staff that will put a note on their calendar to revisit it in 3 months?
Good question. So the notice serves both for anyone that may purchase the property, the notice serves as protection for anyone that may purchase the property. Now, obviously, you can see that it's heavily damaged, and we would hope that would be a trigger. But there is scenarios where someone buys it from out of town, or they see a property and they purchase. So this allows a property owner, if they're doing their due diligence, to know that there's an issue with the property. It also serves to reduce any liability to the district that may resulting from the improper use of the property, whether someone is, it's not secured and someone enters the property and is hurt themselves, or God forbid, someone starts occupying the property. That's the initial purpose of the notice. It's not to necessarily force it's not like a demolition order, which is the next step that's saying it must be done by a certain day or the district will step in. That would very much be the next step, and something that we would monitor over the next 30 to 60 days to make sure that the property owner is showing the motivation to bring the property into compliance one way or the other through either a demolition themselves or working with a professional builder to take out a building permit that would renovate the building. Those essentially would be the two paths, and that would be done in conjunction with our building inspector. If council proceeded with just the notice tonight, we would be on top of this and in regular communication with the property owner. If within 30, 60 days, we get a good sense that it's not trending the way that we would want to see it trending and not towards compliance, that's when we would be bringing back a staff report with the recommendation, or at least for consideration for council around a demolition order.
Okay, great. Questions for Mr. Brown? Councillor Noel?
No, I'm okay with that. We saw Felici present here and the frustrations. I think one thing that resonates for me and Felici's last thing was rats. And I think if we're going to let this go on, I think you guys should get a PCO or a rat control guy and start setting some traps up. If there's any merit behind what he said, there's bringing lots of rodents in the area. There's probably 8 neighboring houses. I think out of good faith, I think we need to do something. You just admitted that, there's been some unnecessary delays, whether it's the current homeowner to do it, or you add it to your tab when the guy comes out to do your buildings. Again, that goes a long ways. We can't do anything, but that's a little bit of something. And, just kind of trying to show some good faith and help the current property owner and the neighbors. I think we just got to do little steps like that. And I'm happy to move this.
I just wanted to ask if Mr. Mazzoni was on Zoom. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Welcome.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, if you could just speak up a little bit, please.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for letting me speak to you on this report. It is unfortunate that my request for a remedial action order is not an option in this staff report. Staff had mentioned in the report, council has the authority to declare the structure a nuisance or a hazard and order its demolition. Should council pursue this route, a formal resolution must be passed directly, directing the estate to demolish the building within a specified time frame. I actually sent a draft remedial action order through Florence Pelchat or to yourselves late today. I apologize for the lateness because I didn't realize it wasn't part of the report. And I've done that for a number of reasons. One, the executor of the estate actually needs to apply to the BC Supreme Court to officially validate the executor's authority over the estate. They are not on title. They don't own the property yet. The title has not changed. So the estate or the executor doesn't have the authority to speak to this property until the courts have decided that they have the authority. And I haven't seen a court order or pending litigation saying that. Number two, there are no deadlines in this report. So the Section 57 really doesn't have anything to do with cleaning up the property or getting the estate to do anything. It's just a notice on title. What I'm asking council for is a remedial action order, and I've drafted one. I've sent it in. It's fairly standard. It's got the legal description on it, and it states that council declares the structure on the property to be offensive and unsafe. It references Section 74 of the Community Charter, dealing with the registered owner of the property, ordering the owner to undertake the following remedial actions: demolish the remains of the structure and clear the property of all combustible debris, refuse, and hazardous materials. I have put an August 31st deadline in that remedial action order that I have drafted. That has to be 30 days after mailing of the notice, which would be next week or the week after. The owner is allowed the opportunity to request a reconsideration of the order of council if council decides to give an order today. And that has to be written notice to request to reconsider and has to be delivered to the corporate officer by August the 10th. The last part of the remedial action order is if the required remedial action is not fully completed by the specified date, any existing work, if underway, must be stopped, and the District of Ucluelet shall immediately, by its agents or employees, enter the property to perform the work at the expense of the owner and complete that work no later than October 31st, 2026. That would be a staff deadline, so it actually gets done on time and before the rainy season. The costs incurred by the District of Ucluelet, if unpaid, on December 31st of the year in which the work is done, may be added to the property taxes for the property as taxes in arrears. I've done this for a couple of reasons, and I drafted this for council's consideration because there's a number of facts here. On August 27th, 2025, so almost a year ago, Brittany Wilms, Bylaw Enforcement Services, emailed me saying staff had received 2 quotes for removal services. So there's 2 quotes out there that staff already have a year ago. I don't know what happened to that information. I don't know what was done with that information. And I don't know why it wasn't presented to council during budget consideration to allow for that to be added. It is disappointing that this is like Groundhog Day, hearing this all again, almost exactly a year later. With no deadlines. And here we are after 2 years of voluntary compliance, we're asking for voluntary compliance. I think this is, we need to break the cycle here. I'm asking council to be firm. I'm asking council to issue a remedial action order. It gives the owner as the estate and the executor are not on title and may not be entitled. They weren't on title 3 weeks ago when I came to council, and they probably won't be on title by the end of August. This takes time, as staff have already mentioned, and it is time that the community doesn't have. It's time that the surrounding residents and surrounding landowners don't have. So put the deadlines in. If you decide to issue a remedial action order, the deadlines are within that. And then it gives if the executive gets title, they've got till August 31st to get it done. If it's not done, staff come in and they've got 2 months to get it done. So I think at this point in time, there has been so much sort of miscommunication in this process because I've been told all this work's been done. These quotes have already been collected by staff. This information should have already been processed. And it appears that it is not, or it's fallen through cracks here. So as per my last request to council, I've now drafted a remedial action order. I'm asking respectfully for council to issue that order. It allows the estate, if they have title, to clean it up by August 31st. And if nothing's been done, or it's only been half done, the municipality come in and finish it up. The second thing I note in there is that staff advised caution because there's operational unknowns, right? And like hazardous material assessment and then contamination. A landowner, which would be the executor, does not know a lot about these things. In fact, they probably don't know anything about what to do with this kind of stuff. The municipality is going to have to, if and when they get title, the municipality will have to say, okay, this is what's going to need to happen. And it is a daunting task to rip down a building and clear it all away. Staff is correct with that. It is way better to have a municipality control this. And I look at it from a staff perspective. I look at it, what would I do as director of planning? What would I do in this situation if it was some other house? So in order to maintain that control and control that liability, I'd say, yeah, well, we're not going to incur costs because it's all going to be come back. Everything right down to the staff time. Everything gets put on the taxes and has to be paid back to the municipality. If they don't pay the taxes, property goes up for tax sale and municipality gets their money back. So this is what I'm asking for today. I'm asking for council to consider this remedial action order and consider moving it forward and approving it. Because 2 years of voluntary compliance, just to hear that we're going to try voluntary compliance is not acceptable. It's not acceptable to me. It's not acceptable to surrounding property owners, and there needs to be another way of doing this. There needs to be another tool. There needs to be deadlines, and this is what gives council the power and gives council the deadlines to make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mazzoni. You presented to us at our last council meeting, and staff came back to us at this council meeting with an option, and we don't make resolutions on the fly. I received your resolution at 3:35 today, and while I'm happy to share that with staff to possibly bring that back at a future council meeting, I think for tonight we should just deal with the recommendation that's before us, and then suggest that staff look at the resolution that you've drafted for potentially another council meeting. So having said that, any further discussion from council?
I got a couple of questions for
Yeah,
Mr. Brown.
go for it.
Obviously, Felici's coming in here a bit more educated than the normal resident here. With some of his comments, I'm just curious your take on it. I do agree with what the mayor just said, but if you don't mind, just kind of with Felici's comments, what are your thoughts and with these timelines and how this could possibly play out? Is he off to you? Just kind of your thoughts on that.
Thank you, Mayor. Very much agree with the delegation's presentation with respect to the process. And I, again, can very much empathize with the timeline that has occurred. But that doesn't change, I think, the approach that we would recommend to council, and that would to proceed with the notice on title. Our intention as staff would be to be back with a very similar resolution vetted with by our lawyers and updated quotes on what the potential cost of remediation would be for council's consideration. regardless of the delegation and the presentation tonight, anticipated if we did not see any kind of activity from the property owner, having that back to you sometime in September. 30 to 60 days, I think at this point would be our monitoring timeline, knowing that there's no meeting in August and that there's any potential budget considerations, they all align nicely in that regard. And so that would be our continued recommendation. So in summary, very much agree about the next tool in the toolbox that does have some teeth, does have some timelines, but we would definitely want council to be furnished with all the considerations, not just in relation to this property, but also the impact on the greater property taxation regime as a whole.
Any further discussion? If not, there is one recommendation. If anyone would like to, Councillor Noel.
I move that council authorize the notice of registered by the corporate officer with the Land Title Survey Authority against the land legally described as Lot 3, District Lot 21, Clayoquot District Plan 27793, stating that a resolution has been made pursuant to Section 57 of the Community Charter. Further information may be inspected at the Municipal Hall.
Second.
Councillor Anderson seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? None opposed. That carries. All right. The last report is titled 2026 Local Government Election Worker Liability Insurance Coverage, and it will be presented by Jane Lum, Director of Finance. Ms. Lum.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. This is a request to allow staff to provision associate member liability insurance coverage through MIABC and for the 2026 local elections. Basically, election officials often are not District of Euclid employees, meaning they're not normally covered under the existing liability policy. So this is to allow us to provision that coverage through MIABC specifically for the elections. Normally, an insurance decision does not come to the council. However, it is required by MIABC that we have a resolution from council to provision this coverage.
And I didn't see in the report, do we know how much the coverage is costing?
Yes, it's $250 a year for the coverage period, and usually we do a coverage period of about 3 years after the year of the election.
Okay, thank you. Questions for Ms. Lum? No, pretty straightforward. Okay, there's one recommendation.
I'll move that. The $250 was why it was music to my ears. Oh man, I just had it there. So, man. Here we go, back on it. Thank you for the report. I move that council authorize the Director of Finance and the Director of Corporate Services to enter into a service provider agreements with the individual election workers for the provision of liability insurance through the District of Euclid's liability insurance held with the Municipal Insurance Association of British Columbia.
Councillor Hoare seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Oh, was that further discussion, Councillor Noel? Or? Oh, okay. None opposed, that carries. Thank you. Are there any notices of motion? I think we've lost Councillor Mafty.
Could I just ask Richard, sorry?
Yep, Councillor Anderson.
Would this be an appropriate time for that notice, for that motion that I was talking about? Or do you want to wait?
I'll check with Mr. Chow, but I know you're referencing, if it's okay, Mayor, there's been a petition going around about reducing the speed limit on Penn Road. I don't have a formal copy of it, but
I don't have a copy of it. I think I just got a copy of it.
yeah. So I was thinking, Mr. Chow, if there want to be a notice of motion for the next meeting to deal with that speed limit versus now, would that be appropriate? No, it's either that or we'll bring something back to count. What we'll do is we'll review the petition and we'll add a staff report regardless of a motion about it.
Perfect. That's my mistake too. I have a copy of the petition and I thought it went to you guys as well, but it didn't. So, but yeah, no, that would be great. And Josie's office Josie Osborne's office has responded as well. So
yeah, and it's something that we've talked about even with some of the developments further along Penn Road. This is the issue of so for those who know, there's a request to lower the speed limit past the up to down to 50 past the entrance to Ancient Cedars. So that's a request, and it's something that's definitely within council's desire to make a motion to the Ministry of Highways to request that.
I actually thought we might have done that already, but maybe we just keep talking about it and haven't actually passed a motion.
I think we could just keep talking about it. Yeah.
yeah, and there's also the idea of the possibility of a crosswalk as well for that, people parking on the side of the road. So that's
there's an overall traffic calming solution needs to be explored there. Speed limit will be only one of the things that needs to be addressed. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so no notice of motion, just
Would you rather that, Mr. Chow? We'll review it and come back with something. Yeah.
okay, perfect. Great. All right, we have two pieces of correspondence on the agenda. The first letter is from Ministry of Housing and Municipal Affairs regarding Code of Conduct legislation update. So basically, it looks like UBCM is going to have a standard code of conduct that municipalities will need to adopt and sign for mayors and councillors. And that's kind of good news because I know some municipalities don't have such a thing. And I just received some correspondence from Cumberland this morning saying, does anybody have a solution to this problem, and describe the problem? And that would have gone under a code of conduct, but they clearly don't have one. So this is just kind of tidying things up through UBCM. Any discussion on that? It's not really asking us anything, it's sort of telling us.
How often do they ask? I think it's a great idea actually to have an overarching one instead of each municipality trying to do it separately and RDs. It's just, it makes sense for there to be something that's a little more province-wide.
I think so too. Yeah, I was really happy to see that announcement. And the second one is a letter from the Association of Vancouver Island Coastal Communities regarding opportunities for AVICC members. I brought this to Ms. Pelchat's attention just because I noticed that because it is an election year, AVICC always offers an educational session for newly elected. And because it's not part of our budget, I just suggested that it be correspondence on our agenda so that whoever we is after October 19th, can take advantage and register for it. I believe it's in Nanaimo in
mid-January.
Yeah, mid-January in Nanaimo at the conference center there. So so I do have a recommendation that she drafted for me. I'll move that the members of council elected for the 2026 to 2030 term be authorized to attend the Local Government Leadership Academy elected official seminar to be held January 13th to 15th, 2027 at the Vancouver Island Conference Center in Nanaimo, BC.
I'll second that.
Councillor Anderson seconds. Any further discussion? No, seeing none, all in favor? None opposed. That carries. Thank you. I will also move that expenses be reimbursed in accordance with the council compensation policy. I think Councillor Noel got it. Any further discussion?
I'll just say that that's I think it's worthwhile because it's like counselor school.
It is counselor school.
And yeah. And
that's why I didn't want to miss the opportunity to get it put in the budget for the next council.
Well, and I see they've also included like booking links and stuff, and we do need to.
Yeah, so you can book your hotels now. Yeah. All in favor? None opposed, that carries. All right, we're now moving into question period. This is an opportunity for the public to ask questions and comment on matters within council's jurisdiction. Representations about bylaws that council is prohibited from holding a public hearing on, or bylaws that were subject to a public hearing, are not permitted at this time. There are no audience members. Are there any members of the public attending by Zoom or telephone that wish to address council? No. And have we received any emails to communityinput@ucluelet.ca? No. Great. Okay. So I will move that the July 14th, 2026 special council meeting be adjourned at